Chapter 5260. Huang Wuyo's words made Yiqing Luo understand the reason why Feng Shi was summoned here. It was probably because, when Huang Wuyo used the forbidden spell to summon Ling Long to this sealed grounds, Feng Shi was by the side. She didn't know what method she used, but she was brought into the sealed grounds together with Ling Long. She squinted her long and narrow eyes as her gaze met with Feng Shi's undetectable gaze. She gave a comforting look, indicating to Feng Shi not to panic. Then he turned his gaze to Ling Long, who had been sent to Huang Wuyo by the profound Yin energy, and was standing very close to him. She was secretly guessing what scheme Huang Wuyo was trying to use Ling Long to complete. "My dear daughter, don't have any crooked ideas." Huang Wuyo grinned eerily as that pair of sinister and scarlet eyes revealed a sinister cold glint. "Now, there's no way for you to turn back." Just as he finished his sentence, bam! The surging wave was like a surging huge wave, bringing along the majestic profound energy as it crashed onto the surrounding profound waves. The thin mysterious Yin Qi, which had been scattered by the attack, suddenly grew thicker. The thick black Qi filled the entire area in front of Yiqing Luo. It covered the sky full of raging flames. Yiqing Luo thought that she had gone blind for a moment. However, this darkness only lasted for a moment. After the thick black Qi surged like waves. Not long later, the raging flames surged up again, suppressing the thick black profound Yin Qi. The two forces tangled with each other in midair, killing each other. The two terrifying forces clashed against each other. The raging profound waves in the air were vibrating. And it was at this moment when the raging flames intertwined. Yiqing Luo saw Ling Long's tiny body floated in front of Huang Wuyo. Her four limbs seemed to be bound by something as they were wide open, unable to move at all. That pair of black bright eyes widened in disbelief as she looked ahead with some fear and uneasiness. She wanted to struggle but had no energy to move. Her tiny body was in the thick black profound Yin Qi. The vast and terrifying energy kept colliding between the two forces. Yiqing Luo. Under the onslaught of this boundless and terrifying power, the man's cold and weak voice came from behind. Yiqing Luo abruptly turned her head back. Unbeknownst to her, Zhu Wuxin was being supported by a member of the illusion race. That cold and handsome face seemed a little pale under the raging flames that filled the sky. Yiqing Luo frowned. "Isn't it better to stay at your clansman's side? Right now, you are the only hope of the illusion tribe. How can you be so willful and not care about your own body?" Zhu Wuxin's dark eyes brightened slightly. "You're still worried about me?" Yiqing Luo. She didn't have the time to argue with him about this kind of meaningless question. She retracted her gaze and looked in the direction of Huang Wuyo. His mind was spinning rapidly as he tried to think of a way to rescue Feng Shi and Ling Long from Huang Wuyo's hands. Behind him, Zhu Wuxin's indifferent voice sounded again. "If I'm not wrong, Revered Worryless wants to use this young lady as a sacrifice to break the seal." "Sacrificial offerings?" Yiqing Luo's heart tightened. "What do you mean?" "Since Revered Worryless is able to condense his soul consciousness and break free from the seal, using his human form to meet us, that's enough to prove that he has the ability to break this barrier." Trash 7th Young Mistress. "Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love." Trash 7th Young Mistress. "Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 5261. Zhu Wu Xian's words made Yiqing Luo's pupils shrink slightly. Her brows were tightly knitted as her eyes were filled with sharpness. "What you mean is, there's another reason why he hasn't broken the seal yet?" Zhu Wu Xian's gaze shot towards Huang Wuyo. "He should be waiting to absorb enough energy so that he can break the seal with his peak energy to be reborn." Peak energy. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened. She understood. Zhu Wu Xian meant Huang Wuyo had yet to break the seal because his current energy had not recovered to the state back then. He was conserving his energy, making use of this huge forbidden curse to give his soul, and his body which had been sealed for thousands of years, a brand new state. But now, Huang Wuyo wanted to directly break the seal? Under this kind of condition where his soul was injured and his soul was injected with poison, break the seal? No wonder. Huang Wuyo had just said that she was forcing him. Huang Wuyo was forced by him to break the seal in advance. and this opportunity to break the seal. Could it be related to Linglong? Otherwise, based on Huang Wuyo's character, how could he possibly cast the so-called master and servant forbidden curse on Linglong? And at such a critical juncture, he even exhausted his energy to summon Linglong over? All these thoughts started to form in her mind bit by bit. She also understood the cause and effect of everything. She raised her eyes as her vision fell onto the little girl who had a painful expression. Linglong didn't know what her father wanted to do to her. Her eyes were misty with tears as she looked at Huang Wuyo pitifully, attempting to get a little bit of pity from him. But the little girl's eyes were blurred with tears. The only thing that could be seen was the sinister, twisted, and malicious smile on his face. Suddenly Linglong's mind buzzed. Vaguely, she seemed to hear a soft voice, like a gentle breeze, dispelling the pain in her body, ringing in her mind. Yes, it was her mind, not her ears. As though a voice had appeared out of thin air in her mind. Linglong, that voice was calling her name. Linglong went into a blank as her heart was shocked. This was... Sister. It's me. That voice gently rang. Don't say anything, listen to sister. Linglong's tiny body trembled slightly. Do you trust me? The girl asked in a gentle voice. Linglong endured the pain in her body and answered in her heart, I do. The girl smiled. Be good. Close your eyes and have a good sleep. When you wake up, everything will be over. Sleep? How was she supposed to sleep? The energy surrounding her seemed to want to suck her dry. Her pain was unbearable. But listening to the girl's gentle voice, Linglong couldn't help but want to believe it. Her tear-stained eyes trembled as she closed them. In the instant that he closed his eyes, Yi Zichen's expression changed. As she breathed, she seemed to smell a faint medicinal fragrance. In the next instant, she lost all consciousness and senses and fell into a deep slumber. How? Huang Wuyo was currently injecting profound yin energy into Linglong's body. Suddenly, the little person who was struggling in the mysterious yin qi stopped struggling and became motionless. He paused for a moment and sent out his mysterious yin qi. He discovered that Linglong had completely lost consciousness. His brows creased slightly as an ominous premonition arose in his heart. He suddenly raised his head and looked towards Yiqing Luo. Coincidentally, he met with the young lady's narrow, slightly curved eyes. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5262. That pair of eyes was like a vast starry sky, twinkling with stars. Between the ripples of light, there were spots of cold light, revealing a sharp edge. Huang Wuyo realized something. Swiftly carrying Linglong, he released an even thicker profound yin qi, wrapping Linglong up tightly. Bam! A strong and majestic profound ray surged over. The raging flame was like a fire dragon, or a phoenix spreading its wings. It was especially obvious under the fiery red sky. The young lady in peach blossom robes and jet black hair, under the raging flame, was as red as fire. Her slender, jade-like fingers held a devouring flame fan that was filled with raging flames. In a split second, like a rainbow, it exploded. The young lady's actions were extremely fast, and she was totally unafraid of the surrounding profound yin qi. He forcefully used his own body to knock away the mysterious yin energy that filled the sky as he flew towards Huang Wuyo to attack him. The glower flame fan split the wind and waves. Yiqing Luo's approach was not obstructed at all. If it wasn't for the close distance, Huang Wuyo could see Yiqing Luo's resolute and icy cold eyes, but with a slight hint of pain. He thought. Yiqing Luo had no feeling towards his profound yin qi's corrosion. Earlier, Yiqing Luo had obviously sensed his intention to use the profound yin qi to control her. This caused his profound yin qi to be unable to harm Yiqing Luo. But now, Yiqing Luo actually took the initiative to knock against his profound yin qi. Was she trying to save Linglong by force? Ha! She was willing to sacrifice herself. Huang Wuyo's eyes shot out a malicious glint. The profound yin qi around him became thicker. The moment Yiqing Luo rushed over, she immediately sucked Linglong, who was wrapped like a cicada pupa, into his palm. Even though her limbs were tightly bound by the God Emperor seal, he still held on to Linglong's arm firmly. That tiny figure was faintly discernible under the thick darkness. But he did not continue to do anything to Linglong. But at the moment when Yiqing Luo's target was Linglong, the overwhelming profound yin qi was like a tidal wave, entangling towards Yiqing Luo. But the profound yin qi's entanglement was just a pile of air. The girl with black hair and peach-colored clothes disappeared into the darkness. Huang Wuyo's expression stiffened slightly, as if he had suddenly recalled something, causing his expression to change greatly. However, he did not have time to react. The next moment, the girl's cool and clear voice reached his ears. Have you reacted? Unfortunately, it's too late. That voice was so close to him. Shockingly, it came from right beside him. At the same time, a chilling killing intent was transmitted over Yiqing Luo, who possessed the Azure Dew bracelet. On top of that, he also knew one of the 5 ghosts' ancient secret arts, the teleportation secret art. Her target had never been Linglong from the start. It was him. Huang Wuyo was infuriated. This Yiqing Luo, was she fooling him? Did she think it would be that easy to kill him? What a joke. Huang Wuyo thought that he understood Yiqing Luo very well, and thought that he had guessed correctly about Yiqing Luo, so that now he was both embarrassed and annoyed. There was only one thought in his mind. That was to make Yiqing Luo's motive fail. 10,000 years ago, he lost to Feng Ge because of a moment of soft-heartedness. 10,000 years later, he absolutely could not lose to Feng Ji's daughter, his own daughter. Huang Wuyo's throat exploded with a hoarse roar. The vast profound yin qi crazily surged towards Yiqing Luo. The overbearing aura which bared its fangs and brandished its claws seemed to want to swallow Yiqing Luo. Which was the moment when Huang Wuyo raged and launched his attack. The young lady's pink lips curled up bit by bit. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5263. She raised her hand. Her palm was covered with a layer of blood stains. The traces of blood were distinct on her fair and delicate palm, outlining a totem that wasn't too complicated. But it was hard to understand. Indistinctly, it seemed as though a phoenix was spreading its wings in the palm, flashing its dazzling tail. That was the God Emperor's blood. Huang Wuyo's expression was so dark that it seemed as though water could drip out. This Yiqing Luo actually thought of using the God Emperor's blood to condense the God Emperor's inheritance power, in an attempt to injure him. He had a good daughter. Her brain was really quick. Huang Wuyo's expression was sinister as his eyes were filled with a haze of viciousness. Don't belittle me. He gave a shrill cry as a thick profound yin qi suddenly surged, and the rising and explosive aura instantly attacked Yiqing Luo. He had also successfully imprisoned Yiqing Luo's hand firmly. Huang Wuyo laughed sinisterly, but before he could say a word, suddenly, a weak fluctuation made him turn his gaze towards that direction. He saw that tiny figure was pulling Linglong out from the profound yin qi, which he had no time to care about. The little boy's little hand held Linglong's little hand tightly, and after pulling her to his side, he immediately turned around and ran towards the direction of the illusion clan. Huang Wuyo's pupils contracted. Linglong. Huang Wuyo, your opponent is me. The young lady's clear voice was as clear as water. Just as Huang Wuyo was attempting to chase after Feng Shi, her power suddenly wrapped around Huang Wuyo, preventing him from moving. Feng Shi was very smart. He knew that as long as he entered the protection circle of the illusion clan, he and Linglong would be safe for the time being. Huang Wuyo was indeed pinned down by Yiqing Luo. Huang Wuyo's guess right from the start was actually correct. Yiqing Luo's motive was only to save Linglong from the start, and what she relied on was Huang Wuyo's conceit. Moreover, her plan had succeeded. Huang Wuyo's conceit made him believe in his own judgment, which gave her the opportunity to take advantage of. Her repeated provocations had already disrupted Huang Wuyo's rhythm, and the reason why she thought of using her blood to intimidate Huang Wuyo was actually because of Huang Wuyo. Huang Wuyo didn't show it, but Yiqing Luo could clearly feel Huang Wuyo's fear towards the God Emperor seal. The Divine Emperor seal was a seal that his mother had used up all her strength to set up. She kept thinking about it. His mother's power had suppressed Huang Wuyo. Then, as the daughter of the Divine Emperor and the inheritor of the Divine Emperor's legacy, would she also have some influence on Huang Wuyo? Since he had a guess in his heart, he would act on it. Yiqing Luo used her God Emperor blood to attack Huang Wuyo. As expected, it caused Huang Wuyo to retaliate. Huang Wuyo had never expected that the situation, which had been under his control, would develop to such an extent. He stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo, as though he was in a state of rage. What a good Fengqing Luo! You've really completely infuriated this seat. When he called Yiqing Luo, it was no longer a disgusting term like baby daughter. He no longer called her by her surname of Yi. Instead, he directly called out her current name. Feng family, Fengqing Luo. It could be seen how angry Huang Wuyo was right now. Yiqing Luo stopped Huang Wuyo, and on seeing that the two little people had entered the illusory clan's area, she then guarded against Huang Wuyo's attack and leapt to a safer place. Chapter 52-64. Do you think that after scheming against me, I will still give you a chance to escape? Huang Wuyo was infuriated as his emotions became more and more violent. The profound yin qi became more and more chaotic. The raging flames in the entire sealed space started to surge more and more violently. Yiqing Luo stepped on the flaming dragon as her pink dress fluttered under the raging flames. The flames which were emitted from her body collided with the profound yin qi, giving off an intense sizzling sound. Huang Wuyo was infuriated as his face contorted, as though he was going to perish together with his opponent, emitting an intense murderous aura as he drove the profound yin qi towards Yiqing Luo. The majestic profound yin qi was filled with murderous intent. This was all the original plans had failed. Hence he flew into a rage out of humiliation, intending to drag her to hell together? Yiqing Luo ridiculed silently as she looked at Huang Wuyo vigilantly, speedily avoiding his attack range as she searched for the safest place to land. She didn't feel that Huang Wuyo was willing to die. Would he be willing to perish together with her? To Huang Wuyo, there was nothing in this world that was more important than him. To let him sacrifice his life in exchange for hers? How could that be possible? So it was impossible for Huang Wuyo to risk his life. This was what Yiqing Luo was thinking. But unfortunately, her guess seemed to be wrong. At the instance when Yiqing Luo evaded, Huang Wuyo's profound yin qi was like a black dragon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it approached Yiqing Luo speedily. He totally disregarded the encroachment of the God Emperor's sealing power. The surging profound yin qi seemed to have filled every inch of his body. Rumble. The profound yin qi collided heavily against the surrounding raging flames. In a split second, the airwaves surged like rolling waves. The entire sealed space. It set off a raging wave. As though two whirlpools were formed, desperately absorbing the remaining living beings in the seal. The people from the illusory clan were obviously greatly affected. Several illusory clan members were forced to spit out a large mouthful of blood from the corner of their lips under the two raging forces. As for the others, some of them had pale faces, as though they could not hold on any longer, while some of them had a solemn expression with a burning gaze. But from that icy cold gaze, one could tell that they were also affected by the two forces. But, fortunately, when everyone noticed the discomfort, Quan Three's fastest reaction was to hug the two of them into his embrace and inject profound energy to protect their heart veins and profound jade heart. Only then did they avoid being corroded by the strange energy. But if this continued, he was afraid that they would not be able to hold on for much longer. The few people from the illusory race who were not too affected looked at each other and saw through each other's thoughts. He had to think of a way to leave this place. At this moment, Yiqing Luo's expression wasn't particularly good. Huang Wuyo's target was him. When the two forces collided, a majestic strength qi burst out. She was the one who was affected the most. She felt as if there was something heavy in her chest that was pressing down on her. It made her feel extremely oppressed and uncomfortable. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased tightly as she tried hard to adjust her state. Her fingertips moved lightly as it formed a protective shield in front of her. Huang Wuyo sneered coldly. Towards Yiqing Luo's resistance, He didn't have the slightest bit of hesitation and directly attacked. His stance was as if he didn't care about his life, and was using his life to fight with her. After a few rounds of exchanges, the intense murderous aura was boiling. Just as Yiqing Luo found an opportunity to aim at Huang Wuyo's vital point, at that instance, suddenly, the profound yin qi in front of her distorted. Chapter 5265. A loud buzzing sound exploded in Yiqing Luo's mind. Her slender brows creased tightly as she went into a momentary daze from the sudden explosion. That sound was like a sharp blade, piercing right into her eardrums. It was unbearable. She was very clear. This was Huang Wuyo who made use of the profound yin qi to create a sharp aura, which formed into an explosion. He was trying to do what? Yiqing Luo's narrow eyes squinted dangerously as her expression congealed slightly as she gathered her mental energy in an attempt to resist against the buzzing explosion in her mind. But it was only for this instance of absent-mindedness. The profound yin qi which was coming towards her turned into a raging wave as it whizzed towards her. The sharp and piercing aura almost swallowed Yiqing Luo entirely, no matter how fast Yiqing Luo's reaction was. By the time she regained her senses and wanted to avoid it, it was already too late. Huang Wuyo, who was in a rage, unleashed his profound energy which was equivalent to perishing together with his opponent. Even if Yiqing Luo wasn't affected by this explosion, she didn't dare to guarantee that she would be able to withstand this attack from Huang Wuyo. Not to mention, Yiqing Luo's current mental energy was totally unable to gather. From the start, when the sudden explosion exploded in her mind, she was stunned for a moment, but now she was clear of her own body's condition. However, that piercing sound that seemed to want to pierce through her soul and agitate her heart was still there, affecting her. Yiqing Luo. Not too far away, Zhuwu Xian's cold yet worried voice rang urgently. Following that was the flustered voices of the people from the Illusion clan who stopped Zhuwu Xian. Yiqing Luo swiftly stretched out her hand as she pressed on the azure dew bracelet. The flowing red flames were like red lightning as it gave off a dazzling radiance. She didn't dare to guarantee that she was able to withstand Huang Wuyo's self-damaging attack. But at least she couldn't let herself be hurt by Huang Wuyo. Just at this moment, a figure flashed past Yiqing Luo's eyes. Following that, she heard a dull moan. The body of the man in blue robes with a gentle and refined face shook violently. Raging flames flew as the blue robe flew. Under the lingering flames, the embroidery on the blue robe appeared extremely bright. Yiqing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered. Her eyes, which were as bright as the stars, reflected the man's clear, gentle and handsome face. Her eyebrows and eyes were as clear as jade, as if she was bathing in the spring breeze. His clear, glass-like eyes stared deeply at the young girl. It was as if he wanted to carve the young girl deep into his mind. That kind of focus, that kind of deep love. It was as if she was the only one in his world. Yiqing Luo's throat tightened. Gu Jingyu. In front of her, the man who stood in front of her and took all of Huang Wuyo's attacks without any protection was Gu Jingyu, who had been fighting with the illusion race. Gu Jingyu, who had lost all his emotions and became a killing machine for Huang Wuyo. But now Gu Jingyu seemed to have recovered. Qing Luo. The man's firm and smooth voice was like a warm spring breeze, pleasant to the ear and gentle. However, the moment he opened his mouth, blood slowly flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Yiqing Luo's brows creased tightly. What are you doing? Gu Jingyu's lips curled slightly, not caring about the blood that flowed out. He only wanted to give all his gentleness and affection to Yiqing Luo wholeheartedly. I have memories of everything that had happened during this period of time. His voice was still gentle, but his breathing was so weak that it seemed as though he would stop breathing in the next moment. Chapter 5266. Yiqing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered as her throat felt dry. Gu Jingyu looked at her, strenuously but stubbornly curled his lips as he gave a gentle smile. I know, I have done quite a number of wrong things. Several times, I almost hurt you. He closed his eyes, looking slightly tired but stubbornly. He wanted to open his eyes to look at her. The person I don't want to hurt the most is you. But he still did something to hurt Yiqing Luo. or let Yi Qing Luo into deep danger. Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips as she shook her head. That's not your fault. All this was because Huang Wuyo. This couldn't be blamed on Gu Jingyu. She had never blamed Gu Jingyu. After all, the one who made you become like that was me. She lowered her head slightly as she sighed softly. A faint helplessness flashed past her brows. I should apologize to you for making you lose so much. Gu Jingyu shook his head gently. That pair of deep eyes gazed deeply at Yi Qing Luo's face, that kind of concentration and greed. His pale thin lips were stained with blood, which made his face, which was gradually turning pale, become ghastly pale. I don't blame you, that was my own choice. Gu Jingyu took a deep and shallow breath. Every breath he took, his brows creased, apparently in extreme pain. Yi Qing Luo wanted to go up, to support Gu Jingyu's tottering body. Before she got close, she was stopped by Gu Jingyu. Don't come over. Yi Qing Luo's footsteps halted. Gu Jingyu's attitude was rare, cold, and persistent. Don't come over, don't give me the last tenderness. Don't let me, till death, still have thoughts about you. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips moved, but she didn't know what to say. Looking at the young lady's face, that slightly struggling expression, Gu Jingyu gave a low laugh. A cough. More and more blood seeped out from the corner of his lips. Gu Jingyu, mixed with a raging cold sharp voice, it was hard to conceal his anger. Huang Wuyo's voice was hoarse, almost crazy. This seat saved you that time, taught you to become a strong cultivator, gave you a supreme status. This is how you repay this seat. The man who was bound by the flames sealed by the divine emperor. His face, which was exposed outside the flames, was almost distorted beyond recognition. Gu Jingyu didn't turn around. He didn't even look at him. The corners of his lips twitched slightly. Between his gentle brows, a hint of mockery flashed past. Even that light and soundless voice carried a hint of self-mockery. Master, do you really think that I don't know anything? You saved me and taught me, just because I am a tool that can unlock your seal. He chuckled, but there was no hint of a smile in his eyes. You and I are just using each other. How can we talk about repayment? Huang Wuyo's face contorted as he roared in anger. It is your honor that this seat has taken a liking to you. This is not a reason for you to betray this seat. Huang Wuyo roared. It was the mysterious Yin Qi that was contending with the raging flames. All of a sudden, it turned into a huge wave. Since you already know what you're good for now, it's time to play your part. Bang! As soon as Huang Wuyo finished speaking, a loud explosion rang out. Yi Qing Luo had yet to react. In front of her, the gentle and graceful young master of an aristocratic family, who had a gentle smile on his face, was instantly engulfed by the mysterious Yin energy. And it was at this moment Yi Qing Luo clearly saw. Gu Jingyu's back was already drenched in blood. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5267. The surging profound Yin Qi was like a sharp blade, cutting Gu Jingyu's skin. The thick profound Yin Qi drew a complicated and strange totem on his back. It was like a whirlpool, gathering behind him. Yi Qing Luo's heart was heavy. No wonder he didn't allow her to get close. Just afraid, she discovered something strange about him. He was also afraid that she would be engulfed by the profound Yin Qi that he couldn't control. Thus, he would rather suffer great pain than let her find out about it. Ah! Suddenly, a scream was heard from the crowd. A child's crisp voice made Yi Qing Luo regain her senses from the tightness in her heart. She looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw Linglong was once again lifted into midair by the profound Yin Qi. Feng Shi was chasing after Linglong. The thick profound Yin Qi wrapped Linglong in it. Linglong was struggling in pain in the profound Yin Qi. Feng Shi wanted to pounce forward. But how could she catch up to the profound Yin Qi? On the contrary, he was sent flying by the surging flames and the mysterious Yin energy that came from the collision. Luckily the people from the Illusion clan still had some conscience as they caught Feng Shi in time. Master, he wants to make use of Princess Linglong's blood to break out of the array. Gu Jingyu's breathing was tight, as though he was holding on to his last breath. In the whistling air, his voice was so weak that it couldn't be heard clearly. Yiqing Luo clenched her fists when she heard that lead. I'm afraid Princess Linglong won't be able to live. Gu Jingyu shook his head strenuously. Bring them out of here now, leave the rest to me. What do you want to do? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes, not believing that Gu Jingyu had a way to suppress Huang Wuyo. Gu Jingyu lowered his head as he gave a forced smile. I know as Master's disciple, and I've done so many things for Master, it's natural that you don't believe me. This has nothing to do with trust, but the current situation is to seal Huang Wuyo, or rather, to make Huang Wuyo fall into eternal slumber. Yiqing Luo walked towards Gu Jingyu. As for you, I might have guessed what you're planning. Gu Jingyu's gentle pupils shrank slightly. When Yiqing Luo walked right in front of him, his tottering body speedily retreated 2 steps. Because of this movement, it affected the wound on his back, and he felt a heart-wrenching pain. It was as if thousands of sharp knives were cutting his skin. Huang Wuyo would never give you this chance, you're not his match. Yiqing Luo stopped in her tracks and didn't go near Gu Jingyu. Her line of sight went past Gu Jingyu and landed on Huang Wuyo, who had a ferocious expression and was entangled with the power of the Divine Emperor's seal. If you want to live, then don't get involved. Since you can come in, you must have a way out. If you can take those people and leave this place. Her tone became more and more solemn. Huang Wuyo was currently fighting against the power of the God Emperor's seal. As such, Linglong was not in danger for the time being. However, the moment Huang Wuyo found an opportunity, Linglong might really become the so-called primer. Linglong was born into this world. Huang Wuyo initially wanted to see, based on his genes, even if it wasn't Fengge, to see if he could give birth to a vessel that also nurtured the divine phoenix profound jade heart. But after Linglong was born, apparently she didn't. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5268. Whereas for someone like Huang Wuyo, who only cared about benefits, he was able to let Linglong live without worries, enjoying the treatment of a princess and living till now. Other than Linglong, there were other uses. Yiqing Luo couldn't think of any other reasons. Earlier after Gu Jingyu's reminder, Yiqing Luo instantly understood. Linglong was Huang Wuyo's direct descendant, and the blood flowing in her body was Huang Wuyo's. Huang Wuyo must have thought of some way to make use of this point as a catalyst to break the God Emperor's seal. No wonder Huang Wuyo would cast a master and servant forbidden curse on Linglong. Separated by a seal, it could be said to be another space, but he was still able to summon Linglong out of thin air. It's too late. Gu Jingyu gave a low chuckle. That chuckle was like smoke, about to dissipate in the next instance. Yiqing Luo frowned and was just about to speak. She heard Gu Jingyu's low voice saying, I'm Master's tool from the moment I stepped into this place. There's no way to turn back. He seemed to have difficulty breathing as he took a deep breath. To be able to wake up at the last minute, to see you one last time, I have no regrets. His voice, word by word, seemed as though it would break any time. It was obviously difficult, but he was still trying his best to speak. Gu Jingyu you. Yiqing Luo heard Gu Jingyu's words, as though he was bidding farewell to her. Her brows creased even tighter as her peripheral vision saw the wisps of profound yin qi surging behind him. As her heart thumped hard, she stopped her voice and speedily approached Gu Jingyu as she stretched out her hand towards his back. His cold, bone-chilling hand gripped her wrist. At a close distance, Yiqing Luo raised her head and met with Gu Jingyu's gentle and clear eyes. Only she could faintly see the faint mist in between his eyes. Yiqing Luo, you must remember me. His words had just ended. Yiqing Luo felt a strong impact from where Gu Jingyu was holding her wrist. Immediately following that, she and Gu Jingyu were forcefully separated. Boom. The strong impact made Yiqing Luo's body fall backwards. She stabilized her figure when she hit the space barrier which was surrounded by raging flames. However, Gu Jingyu's entire body was sucked towards Huang Wuyo. Gu Jingyu. Yiqing Luo immediately wanted to rush towards Gu Jingyu's direction. However, The dense mysterious yin qi was like a sharp blade that cut through the raging flames in the sky. It stood in front of her, blocking her way. She wasn't sure if it was Yiqing Luo's misconception. Huang Wuyo's strength seemed to have become stronger, not allowing Yiqing Luo to think too much. The mysterious yin qi that was heading straight for her instantly turned into countless black threads that overlapped and intertwined in front of her eyes like shadows. At this moment, the Divine Emperor's sealing power was like a surging tidal wave, emitting a buzzing and explosive sound. Yiqing Luo's fingertips lifted slightly as she swiftly raised the glower flame fan to block off the fatal attack, while pulling out her attention to look at Huang Wuyo. On the other side, Gu Jingyu and Ling Long floated to the left and right of Huang Wuyo. The dense mysterious yin qi was like an iron chain, binding them. But what made Yiqing Luo shocked was, under the guidance of Huang Wuyo's mysterious yin qi, the two of them on the left and right actually formed an extremely mysterious black light pillar. The direction that the light pillar headed towards. It was that piece of stone which was carved with a phoenix, which was also the stone tablet which was carved with the words, Huang Wuyo's grave. The huge stone tablet, under the entanglement of the raging flames and mysterious yin qi, kept spinning crazily in mid-air. Trash seventh young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash seventh young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5269. Even though they were separated by a long distance, Yiqing Luo could clearly feel. That light pillar contained a powerful and boundless energy. If this went on, the Divine Emperor's seal would definitely collapse. Yiqing Luo's expression was solemn as her gaze turned towards Huang Wuyo. What on earth did he do? Could it be because of Ling Long and Gu Jingyu, he had obtained a new power? And this power was enough to go against the God Emperor seal. Huang Wuyo was thinking of forcefully breaking the seal. Yiqing Luo realized Huang Wuyo's motive as her expression turned solemn. She squinted her long and narrow eyes as her fingertips moved and swiftly opened up a profound ray, enveloping that stone tablet, closely and speedily attacking Huang Wuyo, attempting to stop his actions. 3 bursts of energy, in this not considered small but not big space, collided with one another as it agitated the entire space's air. It seemed as though there was a faint profound wave, rippling one after another. The people from the Illusion clan were obviously unable to hold on any longer, as all of them relied on the illusory barrier to stabilize themselves. Some of them were even unable to stand properly. Huang Wuyo's sharp gaze fell onto Yiqing Luo, who was trying to stop him as his lips curled into a sinister sneer. Following that, a loud rumbling sound was heard. That surging profound yin qi suddenly expanded rapidly as it shot towards Yiqing Luo. That momentum was filled with a piercingly cold murderous intent. It was as though a hand stretched out from hell, trying to pull Yiqing Luo into hell. As the profound yin qi surged to the maximum, as though it was released to the maximum, that thick black yin qi was dyed with a layer of dark and unclear, totally undistinguishable strange flowing light. This sudden change in energy fluctuation made Yiqing Luo's face turn slightly pale as her petite body, which was suspended in midair, took 2 steps back. Apparently, it was already a little strenuous. At the same time, Huang Wuyo's cold smile and the twisted expression on his face slowly grew bigger. His gaze congealed as he shot out a burst of thick black yin qi. Instantly, the sky filled with monstrous profound yin qi turned into a huge black dragon as it brandished its claws and extended its huge tongue, directly swallowing towards Ling Long. The other side, Gu Jingyu, whose entire body was dripping with blood, let out a painful groan as his whole body was filled with mysterious yin energy. Yiqing Luo could clearly see. Gu Jingyu, who was held in midair by the mysterious yin energy, had the strange totems drawn by the mysterious yin energy on her back spread out bit by bit along with the mysterious yin energy, emitting a black glow. It flickered on and off, like a mandala blooming in hell. It was so alluring that it was suffocating. A deafening explosion suddenly rang out from the 3 steels that were fighting against each other behind her. Yiqing Luo was pushed back 2 steps by the aftershock. The stone tablet was completely covered by the light pillar of mysterious yin qi. Crack! Vaguely amidst the explosion, Yiqing Luo heard some shattering sounds. It was a seal. The Divine Emperor seal was about to collapse. It seemed like she was not the only one needed to undo the seal. Linglong and Gu Jingyu were also crucial. If he did not stop Huang Wuyo's evil technique, she had no way to protect the sealing stone tablet. Just as Yiqing Luo's vision was moving back and forth between Linglong and Gu Jingyu, a burst of golden light broke through the interweaving between the raging flames and the profound yin qi, charging straight towards Linglong. Let go of Linglong. No one is allowed to hurt Linglong. It was a crisp child's voice, but it was filled with extreme anger. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5270. Yiqing Luo turned her head and saw a small figure shooting towards Huang Wuyo like a cannonball. Fengxi. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted. Who else could it be if it wasn't Fengxi? At this moment, Fengxi was covered in a dazzling golden light, which circled around her body again and again. The dazzling golden profound light made him look extremely noble and unapproachable. Most importantly, the aura that Yiqing Luo sensed from Fengxi was totally different from his usual self. Instead, it was a kind of energy wave which could explode the entire space, crazily crashing against the entire sealed space. Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto Fengxi's face. That golden light circulated. That young man's face was already delicate and handsome at such a young age. A totem which looked like a blooming cherry blossomed on the young man's forehead. That was God Emperor's imprint. That was the God Emperor's imprint which would only appear after being recognized by the God Emperor's inheritance. She had one on her forehead. She had not expected that. Fengxi's forehead would also have this totem. That meant that Fengxi was also a descendant which was recognized by the ancient God Emperor, and could accept the God Emperor's inheritance to become the next God Emperor's successor. Fengxi usually didn't show much of herself. But this time, when Linglong met with danger, it completely stimulated Fengxi's potential and also the God Emperor's imprint. But Fengxi was after all just a child. Even if she stimulated her potential, it was like throwing an egg against a rock against Huang Wuyo. And Huang Wuyo would definitely not be soft-hearted towards Fengxi. Seeing Fengxi charging towards Huang Wuyo without any regard for the consequences, Yiqing Luo's fingertips clenched the glower flame fan and was about to protect Fengxi. But at the moment when Fengxi exploded earlier, Yiqing Luo's attention was all on Fengxi, so she didn't notice. The black light pillar which Huang Wuyo had condensed on the stone tablet was already shooting towards her direction. By the time Yiqing Luo wanted to save Fengxi, it was already too late. She only felt a chill down her spine as a deathly chill seeped into her skin. There was a metallic taste in his throat, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. As for Fengxi, under Huang Wuyo's sinister smile, the surging mysterious yin qi was like a huge palm that could take someone's life. Bit by bit, it slapped toward Fengxi's head. This power fell. Fengxi was either dead or crippled. However, it was too late for Yiqing Luo. Even if she ran at her fastest speed, she wouldn't be able to catch up. This moment of distraction gave Huang Wuyo a chance. Yiqing Luo couldn't evade it in time. The thick black mysterious yin qi became more and more violent. It almost suppressed the raging flames in the sealed space. Huang Wuyo stared greedily at the Divine Emperor's mark on Fengxi's forehead with his sinister eyes, and there was wild joy in his eyes. I didn't expect to see a second descendant of the Feng family recognized by the Divine Emperor. The heavens are indeed kind to me. Even the heavens wish for me to leave this damned place. Huang Wuyo licked his dry lips, the fire in his eyes almost burning Fengxi. The mysterious yin qi that seemed to have come from hell reached towards Fengxi's face bit by bit. The fingertip landed on the Divine Emperor's mark. Fengxi only felt as if a ball of ice had touched her skin, making her unable to move, as if she had been frozen into ice. She wanted to struggle, but an inexplicable suction force was rapidly absorbing the energy in her body. Trash seventh young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash seventh young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5271. Just at this moment. It was so quiet that only the painful panting of the crowd and Huang Wuyo's eerie laughter could be heard. The ferocious profound energy surged forward like a hot knife through butter. Fengxi's tiny body, which was about to be crushed, suddenly felt light. The next moment, his tiny body was hooked by a pair of soft hands. His entire body was pulled into a soft embrace. But the hand that was hooking his body was strangely cold. Even the embrace was not warm. But Fengxi felt inexplicably at ease. It was as if all the fear and dread had dissipated at this moment. The bright golden light which was bursting out from his body gradually, slowly, calmed down. He blinked his big round eyes and stayed silent for a while in this ice-cold embrace. Then he suddenly reacted and struggled to get up. Linglong! Just as he moved, a soft and cold hand covered his head and easily pressed him down. "Don't move, I'm here." The clear and melodious voice was like warm spring water which seeped into Fengxi's heart. His struggling movements stopped. His line of sight slowly turned towards the person who was holding him in her arms. A face was reflected in her big, black and white eyes. She had a stunning, flamboyant, devastatingly beautiful face. And at this moment, on the other side, Yiqing Luo had no time to care about who this lady who suddenly appeared was. By the time she regained her senses, Huang Wuyo's profound yin qi had already cut a path through the majestic profound energy around her. The qi waves condensed from the mysterious yin qi rippled and rippled. When it got close to Yiqing Luo, instantly it turned into a turbulent rolling wave, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. The young girl dodged in time. Her black hair and pink dress were blown up by the wind. She couldn't avoid it. But she must not give Huang Wuyo a chance to turn the tables. No matter from emotion or reason, Linglong must not be the key to Huang Wuyo to break the seal. No matter from emotion or reason, Linglong must not be the key to Huang Wuyo to break the seal. The sharp murderous intent, lingering with frost, surged and rushed towards Yiqing Luo from behind. Yiqing Luo endured the heaviness in her chest and the sweetness in her throat. Her fingertips flicked and formed a profound wave which rushed towards the profound yin qi which surrounded Linglong. Bam! Rumble! The deafening explosion almost shattered the entire space. It was as if the surrounding flames were surging restlessly. The sealed space fluctuated, and the energy fluctuations also fluctuated chaotically. What? Huang Wuyo had thought that victory was within his grasp, but the complacent expression on his face froze in an instant. He widened his eyes and bared his teeth in anger as he looked in front of him. His line of sight was completely blocked by the raging flames. That profound yin qi which attacked Yiqing Luo. It seemed to be blocked by something. His power was also draining away. How could this be? Huang Wuyo's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. It was as if everything was slowly slipping away from his grasp. After a few breaths of time, the raging flames slowly sank. Under the surging flames, a blurry figure gradually appeared. The surging flames were like fire dragons, lingering and circling. A peerless figure that wore a violet-colored embroidered robe was faintly discernible. The strong wind surged, blowing up his sleeves, making a fluttering sound. A handsome, godlike man, carrying a pink black-haired young lady, took slow and steady steps, gradually walking into the eyes of the crowd. The man's entire body was emitting a chill which made one unable to look straight at him. Sharp, domineering like a blade's edge. Trash seventh young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash seventh young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5272. Even the purifying flames of the divine emperor seal that filled the sky seemed to be blocked by an invisible force when they approached the man. Not to mention Huang Wuyo's mysterious yin qi. It couldn't touch the man at all. In front of him, the surging majestic power in the surroundings became a foil. The man's face was cold and emotionless. It was as if everything in front of him couldn't make any waves in his eyes. Only when he looked down and saw the young woman in his arms did the expression on his face soften a little. The way he held the girl was so gentle, as if he was holding the most precious treasure in the world. To him, she was the most precious treasure. The man's thin lips were pressed together, and there was a hint of hostility in them. His eyes swept over a certain place. He raised his hand slightly, and a violent hurricane swept out from his wide sleeves. There was a loud swoosh. The hurricane surged. In the blink of an eye, Ling Long, who had fainted from the erosion of the mysterious Yin Qi, was slowly carried to Feng Shi's direction by this force. The white-clothed woman, who looked like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world, extended her other hand and caught Ling Long. In the process, Huang Wuyo sensed the man's intention and immediately released the mysterious Yin Qi, which rolled up a terrifying and powerful force in an attempt to stop the man. But he didn't have the chance to stop him. The man moved his fingers, and the purple light was dazzling. He moved slightly. That incomparably sharp attack cut through the mysterious Yin Qi, heading straight for Huang Wuyo. The mysterious Yin Qi was scattered almost instantly. Huang Wuyo's eyes widened. When he came to himself, he gathered more mysterious Yin Qi to form a protective shield in front of him. It was also because of Huang Wuyo's action. The surrounding mysterious Yin Qi that was fighting against the Divine Emperor's seal was completely destroyed. The overbearing aura of the raging flames gained the upper hand. The mysterious Yin Qi that wrapped around Gu Jingyu's body also slowly dispersed. Gu Jingyu's body lost its support and fell to the ground. Bang! That energy pierced through the mysterious Yin Qi and forcefully landed on Huang Wuyo's body. Huang Wuyo's limbs were bound by the Divine Emperor seal, so he couldn't move or dodge. Even after withstanding this attack, he was still firmly bound in midair. Pooh! Huang Wuyo spat out a mouthful of blood. Diamoxian. He gritted his teeth and spat out the other's name word by word. He stared fixedly at the figure who had suddenly appeared. His scarlet eyes were filled with hatred and anger towards the man, as well as disbelief, and also extreme panic and confusion. Yes, he was panicking. When facing this man, Huang Wuyo was flustered like never before. In the past, Huang Wuyo had heard of the rumors about the Dizun. For him, there was no one in the world who could enter his eyes. An unparalleled genius like him could only exist in this world. Therefore, even though the outside world was talking about his majesty as if he was a god, Huang Wuyo did not even put him in his eyes. Even if they fought later on, he felt that it was only because he was still sealed. If he was at his peak, he wouldn't even be afraid of a divine emperor, so why would he be afraid of a little kid? But at this moment, he was facing Diamoxian directly. After feeling Diamoxian's power, he started to panic. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please collect it gently. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please collect it gently. Chapter 5273. Xian. The sudden change and reversal, as well as that calming aura, made Yiqing Luo slightly stunned. Her fair little hand grabbed the man's lapel. She raised her head and met with that peerless elegance, the face which had been lingering in her heart. She blinked her eyes as her heart was indescribably touched. Her Xian. He could even find his way to this place. He was still the same as before. He was always able to save her when she was in the most danger, like a god descending from the sky when she needed him. The hand on her waist exerted a little more strength. The man's palm pinched her waist, and when his eyes met hers, his dark and deep voice carried a little threat and coldness. I'll deal with you later. It was rare that Yiqing Luo didn't refute. She obediently nestled in the man's arms and even slightly closed her eyes. Apparently, she was already exhausted to the extreme, and Diamoxian's appearance made her tensed-up emotions relaxed at this moment. At the same time, the exhaustion of her body and mind also rushed up. Diamoxian was both angry and distressed. Looking at the young lady's gorgeous face, under the blazing flames, it looked pale and he couldn't bear to say a harsh word. He gently caressed the young lady's back. His mellow voice made one feel at ease. All right, I'm here, nothing will happen to them. Under the blazing flames, Yiqing Luo's pale pink lips slightly curved upwards, adding a weak and sickly look to the young lady. She naturally believed in Diamoxian. Diamoxian's arrival had basically set this ending. She knew, as long as he was here, it would definitely be as she wished. Because he was Diamoxian, her god. After appeasing the young lady, Diamoxian slightly raised his eyes. His shimmering purple cold eyes stared indifferently at the shocked Huang Wuyo. He didn't put Huang Wuyo in his eyes at all. That attitude was still high and mighty, as though he was looking down at the ant Huang Wuyo. Diamoxian, do you know who I am? When had Huang Wuyo ever suffered such treatment? He had endured the 10,000 years of imprisonment. But only this disdainful attitude made him unable to tolerate it. For him, tens of thousands of people were merely playthings in the palm of his hand. If he wanted to live, he would live. If he wanted someone dead, they would die. Apart from Feng Ge, no one else was worthy of his attention. A young man was trying to show off in front of him while he was sealed? How dare they look down on him? Diamoxian's brows were calm and his eyes were indifferent. Who you are has nothing to do with this, lord. He raised his hand slightly. The knuckles of her slender hands were distinct, just like the finest porcelain jade. Under the illumination of the raging flames, it seemed to emit a layer of velvet light. However, there was an inexplicable sinister coldness that caused one's heart to tremble. You hurt someone I care about, so it's your fault. His cold and emotionless voice had just fallen. A terrifying and majestic profound light burst out from it. The mystic rays were like a hot knife through butter. Even the surrounding sealing force of the divine emperor could not suppress them. Huang Wuyo's body was abruptly blasted into the air by this mystic ray, as though he was forcefully lifted up. Huang Wuyo's eyes were filled with horror. The way he looked at Diamoxian was already unconcealable shock and horror. He didn't know how long it had been since he left the restraints of the divine emperor's seal. But the man in front of him could directly suppress the power of the divine emperor's seal. Chapter 5274. Although the power of the divine emperor's seal was still firmly imprisoning him. In other words, this man could shake the power of the divine emperor's seal. At this moment, Huang Wuyo completely faced Diamoxian. No, he could not drag it any longer. This man had already exceeded his expectations. He absolutely could not allow his 10,000 years of planning to fail at the last moment. Huang Wuyo did not hesitate at all, nor did he have the chance to hesitate. Almost at the moment when Diamoxian struck again, under the double pressure of the divine emperor's seal and Diamoxian's aura, Huang Wuyo's eyes widened, and a large mass of black fog gushed out. That thick black fog was filled with a terrifying evil aura, as if it was filled with thousands of malicious and evil thoughts. Just a little bit of contact. The darkness in the depths of his heart seemed to be drawn out by something, bit by bit. Oh, the young girl in Diamoxian's arms was being eroded by the evil thoughts, making her feel uncomfortable. It was as if a sharp claw had stretched out from the depths of her soul, pulling at her soul. This soft moan caused the cold and indifferent man's expression to instantly change. Diamoxian looked down at the person in his arms. The young girl's gorgeous face was covered with a thin layer of sweat. Her brows were knitted tightly, as if she was suffering from some kind of pain. Diamoxian's brows tightened as he softly called out, "Little Luo," his voice was gentle, with a hint of heartache. His slender jade-like fingers gently covered the young girl's forehead. A faint and cool profound energy poured into the young girl's body through her brows. It dispelled the discomfort of the young girl being eroded by evil thoughts. But it was also because of Diamoxian's distraction. The thick black fog that gushed out from Huang Wuyo's eyes turned into two smoke-like claws, as if in the void. Two sharp claws stretched out from the surging black fog. He actually used this kind of method to forcefully break the array. A cold voice, under the vast profound waves and various kinds of energy fluctuations, was extremely clear to the ear. That voice was cold and emotionless, but one could faintly hear the astonishment in it. This kind of method, which way? With Diamoxian's help, Yiqing Luo regained her consciousness slightly and heard Zhu Wu Xian's astonished words. Yiqing Luo frowned as she struggled to open her eyes. Adjusting the position of her head in Diamoxian's arms, she glanced sideways and followed the sound. The sky was filled with energy fluctuations. It was the power of flames sealed by the divine emperor. It was Diamoxian's dazzling profound energy. It was the thick, dark energy that surrounded Huang Wuyo. The three energies intertwined with each other, forming vortex-like holes one after another. It spread throughout the entire space. In Huang Wuyo's direction, there was a tall body hovering in the air. His body was gripped by two smoke-like claws, his limbs wide open as he faced Huang Wuyo. That body's back was facing Yiqing Luo. She could also clearly see, on his blood-stained back, there was a strange totem drawn on it that was giving off wisps of mysterious yin energy. It also made the totem look really devilish. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted. Gu Jingyu. Dmo Xian's thin lips pursed slightly as his wide palm covered the young girl's eyes. His voice was deep. It's too late, don't look. What he said was basically a fact that had already been set in stone. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped fiercely as it sunk. It's too late. What did that mean? Which meant, Gu Jingyu he couldn't be saved. Chapter 5275. Even Dmo Xian was at his wit's end? Yiqing Luo's pink lips moved as she wanted to say something. But when the words reached his mouth, he couldn't spit out a single word. His throat was dry and hoarse. What should she say? What could he say? If Dmo Xian could save her, he would do his best to save her. Dmo Xian had already said that it was too late. Then there was really no other way. Bang! Rumble! A deafening explosion, and the sound of something collapsing echoed in the space. Nestled in Dmo Xian's arms, Yiqing Luo could feel the earth shaking and the mountains swaying. Her eyes were sealed by Dmo Xian, and she could not see anything. He could only rely on sound to sense his surroundings. Under the protection of Dmo Xian's aura, Yiqing Luo could only faintly sense that the fluctuation in the air seemed to have increased by a lot. It was as if countless forces were contending against each other. However, he sensed it carefully, but he couldn't feel anything. It felt like a long time had passed, but it also felt like a blink of an eye. When Dmo Xian's slender hand moved away from Yiqing Luo's eyes, the first thing Yiqing Luo did was to look towards the direction of Huang Wuyo. The surging and twisting flames were constantly intertwining. The person who was supposed to be in the flames had already disappeared. Yes, Huang Wuyo had disappeared. Yiqing Luo swiftly searched the surroundings. He did not find any trace of Huang Wuyo. Even the creepy and cold mysterious yin qi had completely disappeared, and there was not even a trace of its aura left. It was as if Huang Wuyo had never existed. And Gu Jingyu had also disappeared. He ran away. Dmo Xian's voice was clear. You're injured, there's no need to chase after him for now. He can't run away. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as her little head leaned slightly on the man's shoulder, silently nodding her head. He ran away. This also meant that Huang Wuyo had broken through the array. Breaking the formation meant that Huang Wuyo's strength had been restored. Her current condition was not optimistic. If he hastily chased after Huang Wuyo, he might not even be able to catch up. Even if she managed to catch up to him, she had no way of dealing with him. Since Dmo Xian said it so confidently, he must have a way. She just had to trust him. However, Gu Jingyu, was he still alive? Perhaps he felt the girl's depressed mood. Dmo Xian's eyes drooped slightly. His deep obsidian-like pupils reflected the young lady's pale face, which was filled with a complicated expression. He tightened his grip on the girl and said in a low voice, "This is his fate and the fate he has chosen. Since he can't change it or stop it, he has to accept it." His large palm slowly clasped the girl's head. He made the young girl's gaze meet his. He was very clear about the meaning of his existence. Dmo Xian continued. He was the vessel that Huang Wuyo had carefully selected. Container? Yiqing Luo's eyelashes fluttered slightly as she looked at the man's inky pupils. What do you mean? A vessel, just like how you are the divine phoenix profound heart jade's vessel. It is the best place to contain and nurture the divine phoenix profound heart jade. Similarly, Gu Jingyu's body should be the best vessel to support Huang Wuyo's body and soul. Dmo Xian explained. Huang Wuyo made use of Gu Jingyu as a vessel and made use of the sinister forbidden curse which was set up in the sealed grounds to carry out the soul transfer, which is one of the most sinister sorcery in the ancient times. Soul transfer secret art. Soul transfer secret art. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5276. When Yiqing Luo heard this name, her heart thumped hard. From the name alone, Yiqing Luo could roughly imagine what the soul transfer secret art was. As expected, from DM Xian's mouth, he combined his own conjecture. From the very beginning, Gu Jingyu was the vessel that Huang Wuyo had chosen. This vessel could be said to be Huang Wuyo's escape route. If everything went according to Huang Wuyo's plan, if he could come out of the seal unscathed, Gu Jingyu was the catalyst to unlock the seal. If there were any sudden accidents when breaking the seal, he would not be able to escape. Huang Wuyo could even become a vessel to carry Huang Wuyo's soul and strength. In other words, Gu Jingyu was no longer Gu Jingyu. It was Huang Wuyo. It was no wonder that Huang Wuyo's divine sense could directly attach itself to Gu Jingyu's body and exchange blows with her. It was also because of Gu Jingyu's special physique that he was compatible with Huang Wuyo's soul. That was why Huang Wuyo's doppelganger had gone to the Nirvana realm to become Gu Jingyu's master and gain his trust. He had also successfully brainwashed Gu Jingyu into becoming one of his chess pieces. For Huang Wuyo, Yiqing Luo was an accident in his plan. This accident had not only ruined his plans again and again, but it had also ruined his plans. It even made the chess pieces that he had painstakingly cultivated start to have rebellious thoughts. If not for Gu Jingyu's usefulness, it was impossible for Huang Wuyo to allow Gu Jingyu to live until now. From DM Xian's mouth, Yiqing Luo knew that the current Huang Wuyo was nothing to be afraid of. Right from the start, Huang Wuyo had only wanted to obtain Yiqing Luo's divine phoenix profound heart jade, and obtain the God Emperor's inheritance, making Yiqing Luo his tool. As for him, he used 10,000 years to turn the sealed land into a place of extreme negative energy. Then he set up the heavenly Yin bloodlust art in the land of extreme Yin to absorb the profound practitioner's energy and pour it into their souls, strengthening their souls. Then at the most opportune moment, breaking the seal and gaining a new life. As for this freshman, he was the strongest at his peak, revered carefree. This was Huang Wuyo's original plan. But everything had been thrown into chaos. Yiqing Luo's appearance was out of Huang Wuyo's expectations, but it was also within his expectations. He wanted to be reborn as he had been in his prime. Yiqing Luo was indeed the key. What he didn't expect was, after Yiqing Luo inherited the Divine Emperor's inheritance, there would be such an earth-shattering change. Furthermore, she could freely control the Azure Dew bracelet and the Azure Dew divine weapon that Feng Ge had left behind. This had obviously become Yiqing Luo's assistance. The most unexpected thing was, Yiqing Luo would use such a despicable method like poison. As a result, his soul and strength were all corroded by the poison, which also gave Yiqing Luo a chance to invade. Yiqing Luo discovered the crux of the God Emperor's seal. He also knew that the stone tablet was closely related to his seal. This had also disrupted Huang Wuyo's initial plan. Huang Wuyo could only choose to give up. Taking a step back, he only wanted to use Linglong and Gu Jingyu to forcefully break the seal. The consequences of breaking the seal: his spiritual energy would be severely damaged. Even if he broke the seal and left it, with his strength he could probably only maintain 70% of his power, although 70% of his strength was enough for him to rule the world. However, under such circumstances he was forced to break out of the seal in such a pathetic manner by his daughter, whom he had never taken a liking to. It really made Huang Wuyo feel that he had lost all his face. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5277. But everything was still the opposite of what Huang Wuyo had expected. If Yiqing Luo's appearance made his plan fail, then DM Xian's appearance made him completely lose all his sovereignty. In the end, he fled in panic in such a way. Yiqing Luo laid in DM Xian's arms and raised her head slightly, looking at the man's clean and beautiful chin. Her voice was soft. So, the current Huang Wuyo broke the divine phoenix seal in a way that injured the enemy by 1,000 and himself by 800, right? DM Xian responded with an N. Yiqing Luo stuffed her little head into his arms again. Then the consequence of this is, the current Huang Wuyo, is seriously injured. Don't think about it. Dmo Xian's eyes drooped, his slender fingers held her chin, his deep black eyes were filled with seriousness and solemnity. Your injury is not light now. The man's tone was very gloomy, apparently still angry. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes, revealing an obedient and harmless smile. Her voice continued to be soft. I know, in order not to let you worry, I will be obedient. Am I not worried enough? Dmo Xian sneered, thinking of Yiqing Luo's sudden disappearance. Even the connection between the profound phoenix ring and profound dragon ring could not detect Yiqing Luo's existence. It was as if she had disappeared from this world. Dmo Xian couldn't recall how he felt when there was no news of Yiqing Luo. Almost. He wanted to turn the world upside down, destroy the heaven and earth, and he had to find Yiqing Luo. Thinking of this, Dmo Xian shut his eyes hard and pulled the young lady into his arms. He could feel that the girl was really by his side. That uneasy feeling in his heart finally subsided slightly. Yiqing Luo could naturally feel the change in the man's emotions, even if she didn't see it with her own eyes. Yiqing Luo also knew, when she was in the God Emperor's sealed space. What kind of feelings did Dmo Xian have? Her expression softened, stretched out her hands and wrapped them around his firm waist. I'm sorry, I made you worry. The man didn't say a word, only increasing the strength of the hands holding her. Yiqing Luo's little hand grabbed his collar. There won't be a next time. The man's large palm held her little hand. Can there be no next time? Yiqing Luo nodded hard. Absolutely, I promise. The young girl blinked her charming eyes. Her long eyelashes were thick like the wings of a butterfly. Her pupils, which seemed to have been washed by green water, were bright and resplendent, reflecting his shadow. Her bright red lips curled up slightly in an attempt to please him. She looked obedient and cute. Dmo Xian's suppressed rage and all his viciousness softened at this moment. How could he bear to be angry at his little Luo heir? In the end, he could only sigh and press the young girl into his arms. For the time being, I'll believe you this once. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upwards as she used her face to rub against his chest. Indeed, she was not in a hurry to look for Huang Wuyo. She wanted to take advantage of his weakness to take his life. Firstly, it was to reassure Dmo Xian. Secondly, the current Huang Wuyo, under the circumstances of forcefully breaking the seal, could only maintain 50% of his previous strength, which was already the limit. Moreover, Huang Wuyo's injuries were much more serious than hers. In particular, there were all sorts of poisons in her body. It was enough for Huang Wuyo to suffer. She had merely overexerted her strength. It wouldn't be too late to look for Huang Wuyo after she had recuperated for a day. Huang Wuyo was surrounded by enemies and had no helpers. But she had Dmo Xian. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5278. The young lady's eyes were curved, filled with complacency. The man only took one look, and had already guessed what the young lady was thinking. He sighed softly, his gaze was filled with indulgence and helplessness as he poked her forehead, then hugged her tightly. Don't let your imagination run wild. Close your eyes and rest. Yiqing Luo rubbed against him in his arms. Yes, hubby. She obediently closed her eyes. Her body's exhaustion and the lingering familiar scent made her feel at ease. But a moment later, she fell into a deep sleep, not knowing how long she had slept for. By the time Yiqing Luo opened her eyes, the room was pitch black. She got up, feeling relaxed and refreshed. That blood and dust-stained clothes had long been changed, and what replaced it was a soft and comfortable inner garment. Her body was clean and there was a faint medicinal fragrance. Apparently it was when she was unconscious. Someone had soaked her in a medicinal bath. Yiqing Luo's cheeks blushed slightly. She was really too assured towards Dmo Xian. After a few rounds of torment, she still hadn't woken up. Yiqing Luo stood up, took 2 steps and sensed for a moment. Her body had basically recovered. After walking out of the room, Yiqing Luo then realized that this was the Devil's Palace in the Devil's Domain. The surroundings were decorated in the style of the devil's domain. The surroundings were filled with silence. The sinister chi which she felt in the surroundings of the devil's domain had completely disappeared. Facing the chilly wind, Yiqing Luo closed her eyes slightly, feeling the end of a long battle. The feeling of surviving a new lease of life had returned to the devil's domain safely. As for the current Huang Wuyo, there was nothing to fear. When Dmo Xian returned, she could totally set off immediately to search for Huang Wuyo, making him disappear from this world completely, completing her mother's dying wish. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, but Yiqing Luo's curly long eyelashes trembled slightly in between her closed eyes. When he opened his eyes again, his eyes that were as bright as the stars were tinged with faint sorrow. She raised her wrist and slightly drooped her eyes, concentrating on the azure dew bracelet on her wrist which looked like blossoming cherry blossom petals. Her fair fingers gently caressed the rippling surface of the bracelet. Old Man Song. When the Divine Emperor sealed the space, Old Man Song had sacrificed himself to protect her, and the people she wanted to protect. He sacrificed himself to become her strength. She did not feel touched at all. Old Man Song, that fool. He had lived for so long, but he didn't understand that what she wanted was never his sacrifice. What she wanted was for him to accompany her, to be her family, and to be her mentor. Ever since she came to this other world, he was the first person to accompany her, teach her, and give her a future. From now on, he would never appear in front of her again. She had even said that she would help Old Man Song become a human again. He even said that he wanted Old Man Song to become a real person again. But now Old Man Song went back on his word. He didn't wait for her. Suddenly, a hand grasped her slender wrist. The man's slender fingers lightly pressed against the azure dew bracelet. His other arm wrapped around the girl's waist and pulled her into his embrace. "What's wrong? Why are you frowning?" The man stroked the azure dew bracelet and lifted the young girl's wrist, his gaze falling on the blossoming petals of the cherry blossoms. Yiqing Luo shook her head and leaned her head into his embrace. "Trying to hide it from me?" Dmo Xian slightly bent down and looked her in the eyes. The man's slender hand moved from her wrist to her face and pressed against her lower jaw, forcing her face to face with him. "Seventh young miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your love and please collect it." Seventh young miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your love and please collect it. Chapter 5279. The girl's resplendent eyes reflected the man's peerlessly handsome face. The man's thin lips spread open, like a blooming flower, making one unable to shift their gaze. Even though she often saw this face and rubbed it up close, Yiqing Luo's heart still couldn't help but beat faster. Her eyelashes blinked faster, wanting to look away, but her head was held in place by the man's fingers. Dmo Xian opened his mouth again. "I know you're thinking of Old Man Song." The azure dew bracelet's aura was different from before. Ever since he knew of Old Man Song's existence, Old Man Song had never deliberately concealed his aura in front of him. And now, he could no longer sense the spirituality of the spiritual body, combined with the girl's pained expression when she looked at the azure dew bracelet. Dmo Xian already understood what had happened. When the three words Old Man Song came out of her mouth, the girl's pupils visibly dilated. His eyelashes, which were trembling nonstop, also stopped. Only for a moment, the girl lowered her eyes, concealing the grief in her eyes. Her reaction gave Dmo Xian the most direct answer. Dmo Xian leaned over again and pulled her wrist with the azure dew bracelet in front of her, his voice low. Can't you be a bit more direct and ask me? Who told you that Old Man Song can't come back?" Dmo Xian's words were like a touch of water in a dry desert, giving Yiqing Luo hope. The girl's charming eyes suddenly brightened, filled with shock and a bit of careful ecstasy, looking towards Dmo Xian. She didn't open her mouth, but the urgency in her gaze was obviously asking him. "Really? Old Man Song can really come back?" Dmo Xian's slender hand pinched her exquisite face. A trace of doting helplessness floated in between his brows. Aren't you usually very smart? You can understand everything with a little bit. How come now you're stupid?" After he was done pinching her face, he raised his hand and knocked on her little head. Use your brain and think about it. The man then held her wrist again. On her fair, jade-like skin, the azure dew bracelet, which was like a blooming cherry blossom, appeared extremely beautiful. Every petal was like a blossoming flame, flowing with wisps of enchanting red light. Old Song is the guardian spirit of the azure dew bracelet. There is an indispensable bond between artifact spirits and divine artifacts. If Old Man Song really did disappear from this world, it's impossible that the azure dew bracelet wouldn't be affected. Diemo Xian reminded. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her bright eyes overflowed with bits of brilliance. She lowered her eyes and stared at the water on her wrist. Her throat suddenly tightened. When Old Man Zitsong disappeared in front of her eyes for her, her mind was in a mess. He had never thought about this. Now with Diemo Xian's reminder, Yiqing Luo abruptly woke up. Right, Old Man Song was the spirit of the azure dew bracelet. If Old Man Song was truly injured at that time, no matter how well Old Man Song protected the azure dew bracelet, the azure dew bracelet would definitely be affected. But the azure dew bracelet was fine. In other words, Old Man Song could still be alive. But in that kind of situation, the things that Old Man Song did, even you could misunderstand, presumably. It should be an extremely dangerous and extremely harmful thing. Diemo Xian gently held her hand in his broad palm. His arm increased the strength of holding her slender waist, giving the young lady a warm and solid sense of security. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love, everyone please collect it. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love, hit me. Chapter 5280. Although Old Man Song should still be alive in this world, I'm afraid his situation is not optimistic. Diemo Xian's mellow voice whispered into her ear. You'd better be mentally prepared. Yiqing Luo's heartstrings, which had just relaxed earlier, were raised once again. She pursed her lips, clenched the man's shirt, and said, I understand your concerns. She laughed. I don't ask for much. As long as I can confirm that Old Man Song will have a chance to return to my side, this is the best result. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, she would definitely do everything she could to find Old Man Song. Suddenly, Yiqing Luo seemed to have thought of something as she abruptly raised her head, her eyes leaping with joy. That's right, Xian. Wasn't Old Man Song's body still in the Earth domain? As long as I use the azure water artifact to help him revive, then he can. Diemo Xian stroked her little head and saw that the young lady's face had finally revealed a smile. Her eyes had also regained its vigor, and her thoughts had finally changed accordingly. His eyes that were as deep as ink overflowed with gentleness. Yes. With hope came motivation. After Diemo Xian confirmed several times that Yiqing Luo's body had indeed completely recovered to how it was before he allowed her to walk out of the Devil Hall's courtyard. Previously, the Devil Territory had attracted people from various forces because of the appearance of the Divine Emperor's tomb and the seizure of the Divine Emperor's divine weapon. Then, because of Huang Wuyo's God Emperor seal, there was an uproar, causing countless factions to rush to the demon domain. Originally, because the demonic domain was located in the land of extreme negative energy and was filled with baleful aura, no one dared to set foot in it. Now it was overcrowded. The Demon Hall Master had no way to stop it. How could he stop it? This group of profounders from the various powers had rushed over madly, because they'd sensed danger from the Devil Territory. On top of that, there were also inexplicable rumors spreading all over the world. They were all discussing that a demon god had descended from the demon domain and was about to invade the various worlds. Regardless of whether the rumors were true or not, the chaos in the demon domain was real. Out of the protection of his own interface, and to avoid harming his own interests. Hence, all the great clans sent their own people to the demon domain to investigate. Of course, the second reason was naturally because there was profit to be made. The tomb of the former Divine Emperor was found sealed in the demon domain. Along with the emergence of the graveyard were the divine artifacts used by countless former Divine Emperors and divine artifacts from 10,000 years ago as burial objects. How much could one's strength be enhanced by simply obtaining one of them? How much could the strength of an entire family be enhanced? Then there was the so-called demon god's descent into the world. The demon god's rampage greatly affected the entire infernal realm. This kind of unusual movement, how could it not attract the attention of the major forces and people from all walks of life? Because of that, when Yiqing Luo walked out of the courtyard, she saw several familiar figures. The first to bear the brunt were the people of the Feng family. Feng family's patriarch quickly stepped forward and sized Yiqing Luo up from head to toe. "Little Luo, what do you think? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" Feng Liqiang and Granny Feng followed behind him. Although Feng Liqiang didn't say a word, but Yiqing Luo could tell from his arrogant face that he was worried. Yiqing Luo's lips curled as she smiled and shook her head. "If something happens to me, Xian will not let me get down." Feng family's patriarch naturally knew how much Dmo Xian valued Yiqing Luo. The grandfather and granddaughter spoke a few more sentences, and after confirming that Yiqing Luo was fine, Feng family's patriarch then opened his mouth hesitantly. "You saw that demon god? Seventh young miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 5281. Devil God? This unfamiliar title made Yiqing Luo slightly stunned. Feng family's patriarch pursed his lips as his expression changed. "It's the man who was sealed by little Gu. Huang Wuyo, Devil God? How did Huang Wuyo get the title of Devil God?" Dmo Xian explained the recent rumors in her ear. The devil domain was in turmoil, and the person who was sealed by the former god emperor broke the seal. After all, this was the devil domain's territory. Naturally, the crowd gave Huang Wuyo a title, Devil God. It sounded like it was very powerful. Thinking of Huang Wuyo, Yiqing Luo's expression changed slightly. He has already left the god emperor's seal. Although they already knew this result, hearing Yiqing Luo's admission, Feng family's patriarch and Feng Liqiang's expression changed slightly. Feng family's patriarch's brows knitted tightly as his expression was complicated. That man. If he breaks the seal, I'm afraid the first thing he will do is to seek revenge on the Feng family. Initially, it was Feng Ge who exhausted his energy and even sacrificed his life to seal him. And now, Feng Ge had disappeared from this world. Who else could restrain Huang Wuyo? Qing Luo? No, they had already lost Feng Ge. They absolutely could not lose Yiqing Luo again. Yiqing Luo naturally understood what her grandfather was thinking. Her long and narrow eyes stared at Feng family's patriarch solemnly. Her tone was gentle, but with a convincing firmness. The current him, I'm afraid he can only barely protect himself. He doesn't have the energy to seek revenge on the Feng family. Huang Wuyo running to the Feng family at this time. Wasn't that throwing himself into a trap? Feng family's patriarch's brows didn't relax because of this. His tone was still solemn. Be careful, he has too many ancient evil arts on him. I'm worried. He will hurt you. I have something he wants on me. Yiqing Luo comforted. Before he gets what he wants, he won't do anything to me. The young lady paused for a moment as she pulled the peerless man beside her. Her pink lips hooked. Moreover, with Xian by my side, he won't dare to act rashly. Patriarch Feng's vision shifted onto Dmo Xian. After a moment of silence, he sighed softly and said, "This is your fate. From the moment you were born, this fate was already set in stone. This ill-fated fate started because of you. And it will also end because of you. Even if I want to stop it, I can't stop the arrangements of fate." Yiqing Luo's birth was a scheme. If he wanted to escape his control, he had to be able to do it. His life was his to decide, not anyone else's. No matter how worried he was, no matter how much he wanted to protect his granddaughter, he could protect her for a while, but he could not protect her forever. Furthermore, this ill-fated relationship had to come to an end. Thinking of all the things that happened recently, Feng Clan Master closed his eyes tiredly. Grandfather, Mother is willing to believe in me and choose me. This means that I definitely have the ability to fulfill Mother's last wish. The young girl's soft little hand covered the Feng family patriarch's slightly rough hand. Her tone was gentle, but it was filled with determination. I am the successor that the Divine Phoenix has recognized, and I am the current Divine Phoenix Emperor. Grandfather should believe in my abilities. She lightly patted Feng Clan Master's hand. 10,000 years ago, that incredible Huang Wuyo, who even Mother couldn't gain any advantage in his hands. But now, he was forced by me to the point of running away like a rat with its tail between its legs. Her lips curled upwards, as beautiful as a flower. So, what kind of waves can he still stir up now? Feng Clan Master looked at the face in front of him, which was exactly the same as Feng Ji's. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5282. But the expression on this face was much more lively than Feng Ji's. Feng Ge was undoubtedly powerful. However, the burden on her shoulders made it impossible for her to relax. Even in front of Huang Wuyo, the smile on Feng Ji's face was not wholeheartedly devoted. But Yiqing Luo was different. Yiqing Luo was confident and arrogant. Her every action and expression made one involuntarily believe in her. This was something that had never been seen on Feng Ge. Yiqing Luo and Feng Ge were alike, but not alike. Feng family patriarch looked at the young lady's bright and unrestrained expression, and after a long time, the tightened thread in his heart suddenly relaxed, as though he had thought something through. He smiled. All right, grandfather believes you. This was his granddaughter, Feng Ji's daughter, the new divine phoenix of God realm. He should believe in her, believe in Feng Ge, believe in divine phoenix's recognition. The grandfather and granddaughter looked at each other with a smile. Feng Liqiang, who was standing by the side, looked at Yiqing Luo unnaturally and spoke in a tsundere tone. Be careful, don't let us worry. Saying that, she turned her head away. Looking at Feng Liqiang's blushing face and that unnatural expression, Yiqing Luo's slender eyes curved. Got it, uncle. She paused and suddenly thought of something as she immediately asked, Oh yes, uncle, is Cici all right? In the God Emperor's sealed space, Feng Shi was also sucked into the space because of Ling Long. Later on, she was stimulated to activate the Divine Phoenix's bloodline. Although later on, she was saved by someone. But the situation was not optimistic. Speaking of Feng Shi, Feng Liqiang's expression turned slightly cold. His brows furrowed tightly. Yiqing Luo noticed the change in his expression. Uncle, has Cici not woken up yet? I'll go take a look at him. He has woken up, but... Feng family patriarch spoke on behalf of Feng Liqiang as he sighed. But Cici might have to leave the Feng family. Leave the Feng family? Yiqing Luo asked. Why? Feng family patriarch took a look at Feng Liqiang, and seeing that he had no intention to speak, he continued. Cici's mother is here. Yiqing Luo's pupils dilated when she heard that. The image of the white-robed figure who had appeared after Feng Shi had activated her Divine Emperor bloodline in the sealed space of the Divine Emperor suddenly appeared in his mind. Was that woman Feng Shi's mother? She had rushed to the Divine Emperor's sealed space to save Feng Shi? The situation was urgent. Yiqing Luo totally couldn't differentiate who that lady was. He could only guess. That woman's strength should not be weak, at least above the Feng family. Otherwise, they would not have been able to reach the seal of the Divine Phoenix unscathed and rescue Feng Shi. However, it was that woman who had left Feng Shi in the Feng family. Now he had suddenly appeared. Did he want to take Feng Shi away? Did she suddenly have the so-called motherly love? Or did she have other intentions? Perhaps guessing what Yiqing Luo was thinking about, Feng family's matriarch spoke out. It's because we didn't protect little Shi properly, which caused little Shi to fall into such a dangerous situation, almost losing her life. He sighed softly. If she had not appeared in time to save little Shi, I'm afraid. As Feng Clan Master spoke to this point, he couldn't continue to speak. Yiqing Luo also got the gist of it. That woman was blaming them for not protecting Feng Shi properly. So now she wanted to take Feng Shi away. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5283. Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips. I'll go take a look. Feng Shi was placed in the palace where Feng Liqiong and Feng Qiong lived, which was next door to Yi Qing Luo. When Yi Qing Luo followed behind Feng Qiong, the man next to her suddenly hooked her finger. The man's slender finger joints were distinct. His slightly curved finger hooked on the young girl's slender fingertip. Yi Qing Luo caught hold of his fingers as she glanced sideways at him in puzzlement, using her eyes to inquire, "What's the matter?" The two of them walked side by side, and their steps were surprisingly consistent. The breeze blew a few strands of the man's black hair from time to time, which brushed past the young girl's face, giving her a slight itchy feeling. The man's handsome face, when he looked at her from the side, looked even more handsome and peerless. Later on, if we see anyone, the man lowered his voice and whispered, "Don't be too surprised." Yi Qing Luo blinked her long eyelashes. What did this sentence mean? Very soon, Yi Qing Luo understood the meaning of Dmo Xian's words. When she walked into Feng Shi's room and saw the slender and graceful figure sitting by the bed, she was instantly dumbfounded. She blinked and rubbed her eyes again. The fairy-like woman in a flowing white dress was really sitting there. Hearing the sound behind her, the woman stood up slowly. The white gauze on her was like a green smoke or a flowing cloud, slowly falling down. She slowly turned her head and looked behind her, and that familiar face was revealed in front of Yi Qing Luo. Bai Su. Who else could the person in front of her be but Bai Su? Bai Su was the woman who cooperated with Dmo Xian previously. Dmo Xian was looking for the profound flame Tianshu diagram in the Nirvana realm, while she was stationed in the dark. She was also the biological sister of the teacher named Bai Mei who had a crush on Dmo Xian in Nirvana realm's gods class, who wanted to be an old cow eating the cradle. Yi Qing Luo knew that Bai Su's identity was very mysterious. Probably as mysterious as Dmo Xian. The last time she saw Bai Su, she was still in a spiritual state. Yi Qing Luo had never thought Bai Su was actually Feng Shi's mother. Feng Shi's mother was Bai Su. No wonder Dmo Xian had to remind her of that before they came. But even if Dmo Xian had reminded him, seeing Bai Su at this time, Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but be surprised. Hearing the noise at the door, Bai Su turned around immediately. His gaze first fell on Feng Liqiong. Her beautiful face instantly darkened. She was just about to yell at Feng Liqiong to get out of the room and out of her sight. Suddenly, she heard a clear and melodious little voice calling her name. Bai Su's beautiful eyes moved slightly as she looked towards the direction of the voice. When she saw that it was Yi Qing Luo, the expression on her face eased slightly. "Miss Qing Luo." Yi Qing Luo blinked her eyes. The face in front of him was indeed Bai Su's. However, the Bai Su in front of her was not in her previous spiritual state. She was standing in front of her in her human form. Bai Su saw the astonishment on the girl's face. Bai Su raised her lips and revealed her first smile since she appeared in the Feng residence. This smile made her elegant and refined face look like a flower in full bloom, which made people unable to take their eyes off her. She took the initiative to say, "I am Feng Shi's biological mother, Bai Su." Yi Qing Luo. It was one thing to know. Hearing her admit it, it was inevitable that she was shocked. Trash seventh young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash seventh young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5284. Feng family master on the side looked at the interaction between the two and seemed to react. "Little Luo, you and this Miss Bai, know each other?" This was the first time he met Bai Su. When he found out that Bai Su was Feng Shi's biological mother, he confirmed that Bai Su was Feng Shi's biological mother after confirming the details and the bloodline between Bai Su and Feng Shi. Until now, Feng clan master hasn't recovered from this change. Now he saw that Bai Su and Yi Qing Luo knew each other. He was increasingly curious about Bai Su's identity. On the other hand, he was looking forward to it. If Xiao Luo and Xiao Shi's biological mother knew each other, Could she help to persuade Baisu to let Feng Shi stay in the Feng residence? Or, both mother and son could stay. Lord Feng's motive was too obvious. He was a little cautious when he spoke. Baisu interrupted Lord Feng's fantasy and said calmly, Lord Feng, I will not let Cici stay in the Feng residence. You don't have enough ability to protect Cici. There wasn't much aggression in her tone. She was just expressing her thoughts calmly. Feng Liqiang frowned and said coldly, Xiaoxi is also my child. It was you. Just as he was about to speak, he caught a glimpse of the little person lying on the bed, and the words that were about to come out of his mouth stopped in his throat. He pursed his lips and continued, We've been taking care of little Shi for so many years, especially my father. The relationship between grandfather and grandson can't be broken so easily. You've not only hurt my father and I by forcefully separating little Shi from us, but also little Shi. This is the consequence of leaving Cici in your care. Compared to Feng Liqiang, Baisu was much calmer. Even the expression on her face did not change much. Now that Cici's Divine Phoenix bloodline has been activated, there will be more and more people coveting him. Do you think that you can protect Cici with just the two of you? Feng Liqiang's face stiffened. Lord Feng moved his lips but didn't know what to say. Baisu looked indifferent and continued to speak calmly. Cici can only get the best protection if he stays by my side. I will not hand him over to you. Feng Liqiang was a straight man, but when she heard Baisu's last sentence, her face turned livid, and she opened her mouth to refute. Yi Qingluo first pressed on Feng Liqiang's hand and interrupted his words. All right, let me see how Cici is now. After that, she pushed Feng Liqiang to Patriarch Feng and walked to Baisu. Then he took Baisu's hand and walked to the bedside. Feng Liqiang still wanted to say something, but she was stopped by Patriarch Feng. Patriarch Feng shook his head at her, signaling her not to speak again. Baisu was very determined. This time, Feng Shi's injury was indeed due to their negligence. It was reasonable for Baisu to vent her anger on them. If they continued to talk about this topic, they would probably part on bad terms again. However, something small fell here. Perhaps there would be a turn for the better. Yi Qingluo took Baisu and walked to Feng Shi's bedside. She lowered her eyes and looked at the little man on the bed. His face was pale and his eyes were tightly shut. Her heart ached as she sat down beside him and reached out to touch his forehead. Feng Shi must have just taken the medicine and fallen asleep again. At this moment, his brows were slightly furrowed. Obviously, he was still not feeling well, which made him very uncomfortable. Yi Qingluo gently picked up his wrist and checked his pulse. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5285. Feng Shi's internal injuries weren't too serious after recuperation, but because of the Divine Phoenix bloodline, her small body couldn't bear too much energy, which was beyond what her body could bear, which led to a huge loss of energy. Her other external and internal injuries were all treated, but she still had to recuperate for a period of time before she could fully recover. Yi Qingluo put Feng Shi's hand under the quilt and looked at Baisu. I'm sorry, the main reason why Cici became like this is because of me. Because she had brought Linglong back to the Feng family, which led to Feng Shi being brought into the Divine Emperor's seal because she chased after Linglong, which was why she almost lost her life in the hands of Huang Wuyo. After all, because of her. I don't blame you or anyone else. Baisu shook her head. When she looked at Feng Shi, a gentle expression that only a mother could have appeared on that incomparably beautiful face. She reached out and gently stroked Feng Shi's hair on her forehead, saying in a gentle voice, I chose to give birth to Cici. I had already guessed this would happen. I just didn't expect it to be so soon. Already knew Huang Wuyo would hurt Feng Shi? Wait a minute. Yi Qingluo suddenly seemed to have thought of something, and her expression froze. She looked sideways at Baisu. Baisu smiled warmly at her. When their eyes met, she found the answer in each other's eyes. Yi Qingluo's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Let's talk outside. She glanced at Feng Shi, then stood up and walked towards the door. Baisu didn't refuse. She tucked Feng Shi in and followed Yiqing Luo out of the door. When she passed by Feng Liqiang and the Feng family's patriarch, she glanced at them indifferently, but didn't say anything and walked straight out of the door. This was also the intention to let them take care of Feng Shi for the time being. Outside the door, Yiqing Luo was waiting not far away. Baisu walked over slowly, her white dress fluttering in the wind. In the magical style of the Devil Palace, she looked like a fairy who had descended to the mortal world. She walked to Yiqing Luo's side. The two walked side by side, aimlessly. When they were more than 10 meters away from the palace, Yiqing Luo finally opened her mouth. "You long knew that Feng Shi would be the successor to the throne after me?" Baisu's lips curled up into a beautiful smile, but there was a hint of helplessness in it. "Yes, I already knew it when I was pregnant with him. I also know that once I give birth to him, his life will always be accompanied by danger. But you still gave birth to him." Yiqing Luo thought that if it was her, she would make the same choice as Baisu. Even if Baisu did not love Feng Liqiang, even though Baisu knew that giving birth to this child meant that she might lose her life. But this was also her child, the child of her flesh and blood. How could she bear to give up? Back then, when I was pregnant with Cici, I was wholeheartedly preparing for Cici's future. I wanted to use my power to seal the Divine Phoenix's bloodline in Cici's body. I hoped that he could become an ordinary person. So, after giving birth to Cici, I sought the method that the former Divine Emperor used to seal you. To seal Cici like you did in the past. But I didn't have the ability to send Cici to another realm to preserve the vitality of his soul. I could only let him maintain his life, forever in the form of a baby. And I searched everywhere for the method to seal the Divine Phoenix's bloodline. Until I was in the Nirvana realm, I heard the news of the Xianyan Tianshu diagram. Trash 7th Young Mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5286. The Profound Flames Dubhe diagram was the map to Fengge graveyard. It was the key to opening it. Baisu wanted to find the map and enter Feng Ji's tomb to find out how to seal the Divine Phoenix bloodline in Feng Shi. For so many years, Baisu had been looking for ways to protect Feng Shi. It was also for this reason that she left Feng Shi in the Feng family's care. But Baisu didn't expect that. Feng Shi finally stimulated the Divine Phoenix bloodline in front of Huang Wuyo. This also meant that Huang Wuyo's target would be Feng Shi. She didn't believe that the Feng family had enough power to protect Feng Shi. She only believed in herself. So she wanted to take Feng Shi away from Huang Wuyo. Yiqing Luo understood Baisu's feelings. However, even until now, Yiqing Luo was still a little surprised that Baisu was Feng Shi's mother and her uncle's woman. Of course, even though the two of them had that one night, it was all for other reasons than love. But it was undeniable that there was a period between Baisu and her uncle. After all, the two of them had Feng Shi to tie them down. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways as she looked at the lady beside her. Her brows were slightly drooped, her gorgeous red lips were slightly pursed and her pretty brows were slightly knitted. She was obviously distressed. But when she mentioned Feng Shi, Baisu's beautiful face showed a little gentleness. That was maternal gentleness. Yiqing Luo sighed softly. Even though Feng Shi and Baisu had never interacted with each other, but the relationship of blood and kinship gave them a natural sense of affinity. Yiqing Luo recalled that when she was in Feng Shi's room earlier, Baisu sat by Feng Shi's bedside and that gentle look made her heart soften. Qing Luo. Suddenly, Baisu turned her head and met Yiqing Luo's eyes. She called out Yiqing Luo's name with a solemn expression. Yiqing Luo was stunned, but she didn't feel embarrassed about being caught peeping. She answered, "What's wrong? Do you think Cici will be willing to leave with me?" Baisu's tone was obviously perturbed when she asked this question. This was the first time for Yiqing Luo to see Baisu, who had always been gorgeous and flamboyant, showing such an expression. Just as Yiqing Luo was still in a daze and didn't reply, Baisu continued nervously, "I never participated in his past life." Just now, Feng Liqiang was worried about Cici's unfinished words. I know what he wanted to say. He wants to say that I was the one who left Cece in the Feng manor. No matter what the reason is, the person who left Cece behind is me. At this point, Baisu's voice trembled a little. She slowly turned her head and lowered her eyes to hide the pain in them. If Cece is unwilling to forgive me, and is unwilling to leave with me, what should I do? Yiqing Luo could tell that Baisu's heart was full of complexity and apprehension. She really loved Feng Shi. He did not want to force Feng Shi, nor did he want to force her to make any choice. That was why she felt so conflicted and uncomfortable. Yiqing Luo's brows gradually turned gentle. She reached out and held the back of Baisu's cold hand. She comforted her. I feel that Cece has never blamed you. The young girl's voice was soft, with a special, reassuring power. Baisu's breathing gradually calmed down. Then she heard the young girl say softly, if you want to take Cece away, he will definitely go with you. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5287. Baisu suddenly raised her head and looked at Yiqing Luo in surprise. Perhaps she was surprised that Yiqing Luo was so sure. Or perhaps she was surprised that Yiqing Luo, as a member of the Feng family, would not stand on her side and let her take Feng Shi away. But Yiqing Luo looked in the direction of Feng Shi's room and said in a calm voice, as if she was stating a fact, Cece will leave with you, but he may not be happy for a long time. Baisu's pupils contracted a little. After that, she lowered her eyes and pursed her red lips. She understood what Yiqing Luo meant. She couldn't refute her words. Indeed, Feng Shi might leave with her because she was his mother. However, it was impossible for Feng Shi to forget about the Feng family and the He family. Feng Shi had grown up in the Feng family since she could remember. There must be an indelible relationship between her and the Feng family, even if Feng Shi had gotten used to living with her in the future. But the Feng family was still in Feng Shi's heart. Perhaps she would reminisce about them in a place where she couldn't see in the dead of night. Baisu was silent and didn't know what to say. Yiqing Luo gave a slight smile as her fair little hand held onto her soft hand. Actually, why don't you consider staying in the Feng family? The young girl's voice was soft and gentle, like a feather, gently stroking Baisu's heart which was already filled with ripples. Baisu's eyelashes trembled slightly. Just like her heart at this moment, it also trembled. Ripples spread and splashed. That feather tickled a certain part of his body, making him feel a little itchy. Consider stay in the Feng family? That was indeed the best way. She could stay by Feng Shi's side, accompany her, take care of her, and protect her. And it could also save Feng Shi from the pain of being separated from her family. But what identity should she use to stay in the Feng family? How should she face the Feng family? How should she face Feng Liqiang? She couldn't get along with them calmly. The young girl seemed to have seen through her thoughts from the expression on her face. She slightly increased the strength of the hand that held her. Yiqing Luo smiled and gently touched Baisu's palm with her slender fingertips. She smiled and said, You're a pure and innocent woman. Yet you've been defiled by my little uncle. It's my little uncle who has let you down. You also gave birth to such a lovely and well-behaved child for our Feng family. This is also our entire Feng family's shame to you. Therefore, you are naturally qualified to live in the Feng mansion. Stay here as Feng Shi's mother. Baisu raised her eyes slightly and met the girl's smiling eyes. She pursed her lips and said in a low voice, I'll think about it. Yiqing Luo patted the back of her hand. Facing the current Baisu, she didn't feel like she was facing a senior who was much older than her. Instead, she comforted her like a friend. Don't give yourself too much pressure. You just need to remember one thing. You're in the Phoenix Manor for Cece. That's enough. Of course, Yiqing Luo hoped that Baisu could stay. In this way, Feng Shi could also stay in the Feng family. After all, the Feng family's patriarch was old. Feng Shi's departure would definitely have a great impact on the Feng family's patriarch. Moreover, she did have her own selfish motives. Baisu's strength was similar to Dmo Xian's. If Baisu stayed in the Feng family, even if Huang Wuyo wanted to secretly plot something, at least, Baisu could protect him a little. Chapter 5288. With Baisu around, she could also settle her own affairs with a peace of mind. Based on Huang Wuyo's dark rat temperament, it was absolutely impossible to give up on his plans and ambitions. He would definitely start from the people around her, making use of the people she cared about, threatening her, to achieve his goal. So if Baisu was in the Feng residence, the safety of the Feng family could basically be guaranteed. And there was one more point, which was the most important point. Yiqing Luo wanted to matchmake Baisu as her aunt. After all, Baisu and Feng Liqiong already had Feng Shi. Although this was a place that did not have a lot of restrictions on women like in the real history, it was a different world from the real history. But even in the 21st century, there would be a lot of rumors about a woman getting pregnant before marriage, not to mention here. Even if Baisu didn't care. But Feng Shi was the eldest son of the divine phoenix Feng family, the future head of the Feng family, and the chosen successor to the divine emperor. She would eventually stand in front of everyone and accept everyone's gaze. However, once Feng Shi's identity was criticized by others, she would not be able to control herself. Baisu's reputation would be ruined. Even Feng Shi would be greatly affected. If it was possible, she hoped that Feng Liqiong and Baisu could have a good ending. Of course, if both parties had no feelings. That was not something that could be forced. After Yiqing Luo finished her words, she didn't say anything else or urged Baisu to give an answer. Baisu needed to think clearly about this kind of thing. The two of them kept silent as they walked forward. After about the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, Baisu suddenly stopped in her tracks and glanced sideways at Yiqing Luo's beautiful face. She sighed softly and said solemnly, "I will think about it." Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up slightly as she nodded with a smile. Considering meant that there was a chance. She only hoped that straight uncle of hers wouldn't be so reckless as to kill his own son's mother. Devil Domain, desolate land. The rolling hills were withered and lifeless. Even the surrounding air seemed to be condensed with thick yin qi, which was somewhat creepy. This was a desolate land which was second only to the Devil Domain's extreme negative energy, Mount Wu Run. Mount Wu Run. As the name suggested, it was a place where no one could step in. Throughout the year, not a single shadow could be seen. But right now, a dense cloud of yin energy could be vaguely seen amidst the withered and lifeless mountain range. The entire uninhabited mountain became even more gloomy and gloomy. It seemed to be shrouded in a deathly aura. At the foot of the uninhabited mountain, a group of about 17 or 18 people were looking up at the desolate mountain range. A beautiful woman followed the leader carefully and said in an exceptionally nervous voice, young lord, are you really going to enter the uninhabited mountain alone?" The leader of the group wore an ink-colored robe without the slightest ornament, making him seem extremely plain. However, the cloth and the patterns embroidered on the robe were clearly luxurious. Furthermore, the aura of that person was as cold as a 1,000-year-old glacier, capable of freezing the air and the surroundings. His unbound black hair hung loosely behind him, fluttering in the wind. His face that was as cold as Cass was completely solemn, without the slightest fluctuation of emotion. The man didn't turn back as his gaze was fixated on Mount Wu Run without blinking. His expression was neither happy nor sad. "Go back." "But young lord." The 17 or 18 people behind him couldn't help but open their mouths to say something. "Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love." "Seventh Miss who likes trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 5289. The man had already raised his hand and made a gesture to stop them. Those 17 to 18 people were helpless as they swallowed all the words they wanted to say. The illusory clan cannot be left without anyone. The man's voice was as calm as his expression. "You are the last hope of the illusory clan, live on." The woman behind and the man who was closest to him revealed a complicated expression. As though she couldn't hold it in any longer, the woman clenched her fists tightly as she said, "Young lord, you are the last hope of the illusory clan. If anything happens to you, Where will you place the illusory clan, and where will you place us? They could even abandon the princess of the illusory clan for their young lord. But now, young lord wanted to abandon them. Was there any possibility for their illusory clan to revive? The man's cold and emotionless expression was slightly moved after the woman finished her words. He glanced sideways and finally fixed his vision on the woman. But there was still no fluctuation of emotions in his eyes. Huan Luo, bring the people of the illusory clan and leave God realm. Find a place to live well. His voice, like the expression on his face, didn't fluctuate much. As for the revenge of the illusory clan, I believe Yi Qing Luo will definitely be able to take revenge for the illusory clan. Huan Luo's voice choked as her beautiful little face turned extremely pale. Her little hands clenched tightly as her throat was a little dry. Has young lord already decided to abandon us? The man. Zhu Wuxian's eyes moved slightly as he swept past the 10 over illusory clan's people in front of him. He was also the last person left in the illusory clan. In the past, for me, every single day was for the sake of revenge. I have never been happy, nor have I ever grumbled, because this is my destiny. But ever since I met that woman who could bring me warmth, everything is no longer the same. The reason for my survival has one more. The man's voice was very soft, and after he finished his words, he paused for a long time, as though he was deliberating over his next words, or as though he was thinking of that woman. Even that cold and emotionless face showed some gentleness. He even directly used I and not this young lord. This was enough to tell. That young lady called Yi Qing Luo. In his heart, what kind of important position did she hold? I don't want to make myself regret it. He stared at the desolate mountain range in front of him, his eyes as calm as still water. But on that pale and cold face, one could faintly see the ripples between his brows. I want to live for myself for once. Just once. The illusion clansmen were silent for a while, looking at the back view of the young master, who was covered in a cold aura, but also exuded a sense of loneliness. They couldn't say a single word to stop him. They knew this the best. Their young master had suffered a lot to revive the illusory race. Their young master had been living for the illusory tribe since he was born, because he knew his mission. Their young master had never said anything against them. All this while he had always kept his identity in mind and his goal in mind. Everyone's throat tightened, and in the end, it turned into a deep sigh. Huan Luo's lips moved, but she couldn't utter a single word. Zhu Wuxin slowly brushed away the hand on his wrist. His expression was calm, his tone indifferent. You can go back. Saying that, he lifted his feet and walked towards the uninhabited mountain. He had just taken 2 steps. He heard a melodious bell-like voice coming from his back, with a hint of anger. Zhu Wuxin, stop right there. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5290. That voice echoed in the empty and desolate mountain range. The people of the illusory tribe looked in the direction of the voice. They saw a woman dressed in a light blue outfit striding toward them. The woman was tall, and her jet black hair was tied behind her head, revealing her elegant and flamboyant face. She looked clean and neat with a heroic bearing. When Huan Luo saw that person, her face immediately lit up. Captain Su, quickly come and persuade Lord Young Master. If it's you, he will definitely listen to you. The woman did not reply. Her eyes were calm as she looked at Zhu Wuxin's figure. The corners of her mouth rose slightly. Zhu Wuxin, do you still want to hide from me? The woman walked toward Zhu Wuxin step by step. The people of the illusory tribe automatically made way for her. Obviously, the people of the illusory tribe were very familiar with this woman. What are you doing here? Zhu Wuxin glanced sideways at the woman behind him. Su Qingbing, you are the captain of the bloody mercenary group. You don't have the right to be willful. No. The woman's expression did not change. Her eyes were firm. I am no longer bound by the mercenary group. Zhu Wuxin's cold face, which was usually emotionless, faintly showed some strange emotions. You left the bloody mercenary group? Yes, the woman answered straightforwardly. Are you crazy? Zhu Wuxin finally shifted his gaze to the woman. Su Qingbing slowly extended her hand, holding Zhu Wuxin's wrist. If you're crazy, I'll be crazy with you. Zhu Wuxin pursed his lips, focusing on Su Qingbing's hand on his wrist. He did not say anything, but he did not shake off Su Qingbing's hand. The people of the illusory tribe felt the hidden fluctuations between the two of them. They looked left and right. Huan Luo could not help but ask in a low voice, Captain Su Yu, aren't you here to stop Lord Young Master from doing something stupid? No. Su Qingbing slowly tightened her grip on Zhu Wuxin's wrist. Then she smiled faintly. I'm going crazy with him. Huan Luo's face instantly turned pale. Su Qingbing was not here to persuade their Lord Young Master. Instead, he wanted to accompany the young master into the uninhabited mountain. Looking at Huan Luo's expression, Su Qingbing's smile became even more beautiful. With me around, at least, you will feel more at ease, won't you? The illusion clansmen were speechless. Indeed, if young lord insists on entering the uninhabited mountain, Su Qingbing was following them. He could more or less take care of young master. Moreover, they understood Su Qingbing's feelings for their young master. If the young master was in any danger, Su Qingbing would definitely do her best to protect him. But the people of the illusion race looked at each other and wanted to say something. Su Qingbing interrupted their thoughts. No one can change what he has decided. Do as he says and leave the last bloodline of the illusion race here. The people of the illusion race were speechless. In the end, they could only watch helplessly as Su Qingbing held onto Zhu Wuxin's arm, and the two of them gradually disappeared in front of them, completely blending into the desolate, uninhabited mountain. Huan Luo clenched her fists, loosened them again. Her eyes were scarlet. Huan 3, why didn't you stop the young master? When she opened her mouth, her voice was a little choked. Beside her, the expressionless young man glanced at her and said coldly, Indeed, no one can change what the young master has decided. Seventh young mistress who likes trash. Lord Dizun, please be gentler. Seventh young mistress who likes trash. Lord Dizun, please be gentler. Chapter 5291. Huan Luo pursed her lips and turned her head away. Huan 3 turned around expressionlessly and walked away. Let's go. That cold and indifferent word made everyone from the illusion clan looked at each other in dismay. But Huan 3 didn't stop as he walked further and further away. Huan Luo was still standing on the same spot, as she looked towards the direction of Mount No Man. Not moving at all. Everyone from the illusion clan looked left and right, just as Huan 3's figure was about to disappear in front of their eyes. In the end, they still chose to chase after Huan 3. Inside Mount No Man, Su Qingbing supported Zhu Wu Xian as they walked step by step slowly into the mountain. The atmosphere between the two of them was strange as they remained silent. After walking for about half an incense's time, Zhu Wu Xian was the first to speak, breaking the silence. Why are you following me? Whatever you're here for, I'm here for. Su Qingbing's lips curled slightly as she glanced sideways at the cold man beside her. Zhu Wu Xian frowned slightly. This matter doesn't have much to do with you. Why are you doing this? That's right. It indeed doesn't have much to do with me. Su Qingbing laughed lightly. But Zhu Wu Xian, the newly appointed God Emperor and revered worryless matter, what does it have to do with you? The lady's question made Zhu Wu Xian speechless. Su Qingbing shifted her gaze as her pair of spirited beautiful eyes looked towards the front. Her voice was as calm as water, just like Zhu Wu Xian, unable to stir up any huge waves. Her lips curled as she spoke calmly. You're doing it for Qing Luo, I'm doing it for you. I'm no different from you. Su Qingbing. Zhu Wu Xian's thin lips moved slightly as he spat out Su Qingbing's name. Su Qingbing looked up at the sky as she interrupted Zhu Wu Xian's words. Don't talk to me about principles, to tell the truth. You don't have any rights to say that to me. After all, if I used the same words to make you give up on the newly appointed God Phoenix, would you be willing? Zhu Wu Xian. That's right. This was the answer that Su Qingbing had expected, but it still made Su Qingbing's heart feel a little stabbing pain. She ignored the throbbing pain in her heart and forced a smile. My goal is to make you feel guilty towards me. You'll see everything I've done for you. Perhaps I'll exist in your eyes. Who knows? Su Qingbing's brisk voice and tone eased the heavy atmosphere between the two of them a little. The two of them walked for a while. Zhu Wu Xian spoke again, breaking the silence. Do you know why I came to Desolate Mountain? I more or less understand you. Su Qingbing tilted her head and looked at him with a smile in her eyes. She and Zhu Wuxin could be considered friends. She had thought about it many times. If only she had been the first person to give Zhu Wuxin warmth back then. Would the result be different? But there was no such thing as if. She could only stand by his side as a friend, as a brother, and accompany him. At the thought of the past, Su Qingbing's eyes lit up with some tranquility and serenity. You came all the way to Desolate Mountain, a place with such a thick murderous aura. I can't think of any other reason besides the newly appointed god Phoenix. Su Qingbing smiled. She's my love rival after all. Aren't you being too cruel to me by asking me to answer this question? Zhu Wu Xian's expression did not change much. It's still not too late to go back now. You're chasing me away just like that? Su Qingbing suddenly stretched out her hand boldly and held his arm. Seventh young mistress who likes trash. Lord Dizun, please be gentler. Seventh young mistress who likes trash. Lord Dizun, please be gentler. Chapter 5292. Zhu Wuxin struggled. Su Qingbing clung to him even tighter. The lady's elegant face was even more calm. Zhu Wuxin, since I've decided to follow you, I'm prepared to be shameless, just like how you treat the new divine phoenix. Her smile was also magnanimous. What's more, you really need me now, don't you? Zhu Wu Xian's cold face froze slightly. I've liked you for so many years, and I'm also the only one who can stay by your side for so long. My understanding of you is far beyond your imagination. The lady smiled brightly, but there was more sincerity in her smile. It was as if this would be the last time she would pour out her feelings. Therefore, she held nothing back. Zhu Wuxin's thin lips moved slightly, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't say anything in the end. He just walked forward silently. Su Qingbing, on the other hand, no longer had so many concerns after she opened her heart. She tilted her head and stared at Zhu Wuxin's side profile. The place where Supremacy Worryless was sealed has become the #1 place of extreme ease in the demon territory after years of nurturing by Supremacy Worryless. This also means that Supremacy Worryless needs Yin Qi and murderous aura as the source of power. Apart from the Demon Destruction Mountain in the demon territory, the only other place in the demon territory that is filled with murderous aura is Immortal Mountain. She paused. So, Supremacy Worryless must be recuperating somewhere in this Immortal Mountain. In the Demon Palace of the Demon Territory. After 2 days of consideration, and after Baisu tested Feng Shi's thoughts and attitude, she finally decided to stay in the Feng residence. When she made her decision, the Feng family master looked delighted. Master Feng was delighted. He looked at Baisu as if she was his future daughter-in-law. Feng Liqiong's expression was a little stiff. When she looked at Baisu, she looked away unnaturally. Finally, when no one was paying attention, she secretly said to Baisu, "Thank you." Baisu glanced at him expressionlessly. Then, her gaze returned to Feng Shi, who was still sleeping soundly, and her eyes became gentle. However, his voice was still as cold as ever. "You don't have to thank me. I stayed behind for Cici. In the past 6 years, I didn't fulfill my duty as a mother. I didn't stay by his side and watch him grow. For the past 6 years, he has lacked the care of a mother. So I don't want Cici to lose her father, grandfather, and loved ones because of me in the future. I just want Cici to be happy. It has nothing to do with you." The woman's emotions were very indifferent, and her words were also so straightforward that no one could respond to her. Feng Liqiong's expression stiffened even further. Her mouth moved. But when she looked at the woman's gentle profile, it was as if there was a gentle light shining on that beautiful face. All the words were stuck in her throat, unable to come out. Seeing this, Feng family master quickly opened his mouth to break the strange atmosphere between the two sides. He strode forward with a big smile on his face. It's good that you stay. It's good that you stay. Cece has always wanted his father and mother to stay with him since he was young. Now that he can finally fulfill his wish, he will be very happy. Of course, Feng family master hoped that if Baisu could be with Feng Liqiong, not only would Feng Liqiong's marriage be resolved, but they would also be able to reunite as a family. Now the only one who could make Baisu stay was Feng Shi. The Feng family master was already thinking about how to discuss with Feng Shi secretly, so that Feng Shi could be a godly assistant. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress. Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5293. Baisu stayed in the demon hall just like that. The Feng family members were overjoyed. But the various powerhouses in the demon domain couldn't even smile. The demon domain was originally separated from the outside world. It was rare to meet outsiders in 100 years. Towards those outsiders, the people in the demon domain were naturally against it. But now wave after wave of people from the outside world came one after another, practically filling up the entire demon realm. This made the people in the demon domain start to panic. They were all guessing. Did the outside world intend to join forces to attack the demon domain? Now, even the new divine phoenix of the god world had brought along her entire family and stayed in the demon domain. This made the people in the demon domain have the guts. The feeling that the outside world intended to invade the demon domain. But it was what they thought. The people from the demon domain who had always been known as bloodthirsty, cold-blooded and loved to kill, had no thoughts of starting a war at this moment. What a joke! Some time ago, the newly appointed God Phoenix inherited the God Emperor's inheritance. The people in the demon domain had witnessed it with their own eyes. And their legend from 10,000 years ago, the man known as the Demon Dragon, the king of the demon domain, was so respectful in front of the newly appointed God Phoenix. Then there was that person, the old man in the demon domain who had heard of the legend regarding revered Worryless. That revered Worryless' ability was comparable to the former God Emperor. He was also the most powerful person in the world. 10,000 years ago, the former God Emperor used his own life to seal revered Worryless. And that revered Worryless seal had already been removed. But he was seriously injured by the newly appointed God Phoenix Feng Qing Luo. Someone who could injure revered Worryless so seriously. Don't you think she's powerful? Don't you think she's powerful? No matter how much they loved to kill, it didn't mean that they had no brains to find trouble with the newly appointed God Phoenix Feng Qing Luo. Hence, he could only endure the large group of people in the outside world in fear and trepidation, staying in the demon domain. After a day of recuperation, Yi Qing Luo's body had completely recovered. Full of vitality, she had just walked out of the palace when she saw the lord of the demon hall, Demon Enchantress, walking towards her aggressively. The demonic enchantress was dressed in a long crow feather robe. As she fluttered behind her, it was as if she had spread out her black wings, causing her cold and elegant face to reveal a sinister aura. When the demonic charm's vision fell onto Yi Qing Luo, it was as if all of his emotions had exploded in that instant. Lord Divine Phoenix. The demonic enchantress's voice was icy cold as she called out Yi Qing Luo's honorific. Yi Qing Luo raised her eyes and met the devilish gaze. That gorgeous face did not show much emotion, as if it did not care about the rage of the demonic enchantress. The more she acted like this, the angrier the demonic enchantress became. What exactly do you outsiders want? Did they all treat the infernal domain as a sightseeing place? You people from the divine world have come here, and even people from other worlds have come here. Do you think that the Devil Zone is outside of the Heavenly Tao's control, and you don't need to follow the rules of other worlds? Facing the wrath of the demonic enchantress, Yi Qing Luo was still as calm as ever. She said, "You don't have to worry, the God realm has no intention of invading the demon realm. We, the Devil Zone, have been outside the Heavenly Tao for the past 10,000 years, and we don't want to have any involvement with you outsiders. Your existence today has already seriously disturbed the normal life of the Devil Zone. The demonic enchantress's expression sunk as she spat out every single word. Lord Divine Phoenix, this Lord hopes that you can be clear that the cause of this matter is because of the previous God Emperor's sovereign. You, the previous God Emperor's sovereign's descendant, and the previous God Emperor's sovereign, have really treated the Devil Zone as a toy in your hands? 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your loving hands. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentler with your loving hands. Chapter 5294. If it wasn't for Feng Gu who sealed Huang Wuyo here. If it wasn't for Feng Gu who sealed himself here. If it wasn't for the fact that when Feng Gu sealed himself, he also sealed the Devil Domain's previous king, Mo Long. The Devil Domain wouldn't be spied on by the various domains. The moment there were more people, the Devil Domain would be in chaos. Not to mention the various powerhouses from various domains, all gathered here. It was even messier than before. And the main culprit who caused all of this was Feng Qingluo. Yi Qingluo's expression had a slight change. She raised her eyes slightly and with a demonic charm, she asked calmly, "What do you want?" Now, the Devil Domain was a foregone conclusion. The idea of chasing the various powerhouses out of the Devil Domain wasn't realistic at all. After all, the former sovereign of God's tomb was still here. Huang Wuyo was still in the Devil Domain. The various powerhouses had gone through many hardships to come to the Devil Domain. Wasn't it for the sake of the treasures in the tomb? Wasn't it for the sake of to see if they could get something beneficial to their own powerhouses from the world-famous revered Carefree? It was absolutely impossible for the various powerhouses to leave the Devil Domain. So, the demonic enchantress ran over here and angrily rebuked them. But she had another motive. The demonic enchantress didn't beat around the bush as she asked directly, "Previously, do you still keep your promise to this lord?" Naturally, Yi Qingluo's long and narrow eyes narrowed as she hinted at something. "As long as you didn't collaborate with Huang Wuyo, you will definitely be able to sit firmly on the Devil Hall Master's position." She paused slightly as her pink lips curled into a faint smile. That smile obviously looked sweet. However, it inexplicably gave people a feeling of dread and panic. But Yi Qingluo's topic of conversation changed as her terrifying laughter rang faintly. "If you were to go back on our previous agreement, then this Devil Hall Master position, I can change someone else to sit on it." The young lady's voice was calm and cold, yet confident and ostentatious. That exquisite brows were filled with absolute confidence. As though what she said was merely the calmness of discussing the changes in the weather. The demonic enchantress's expression changed slightly. Anger surged in his heart. Yi Qingluo seemed as though she couldn't see the devil enchantress's murderous glare as she continued smiling as her pink lips curled upwards, continuing, "I believe that if I push Madame Huang Xi to take the position, I believe Devil Domain's people will accept it very well." The indifference in the girl's tone was very obvious. The demonic enchantress expression darkened, as if it was about to rain at any moment. But the demonic enchantress was unable to refute Yi Qingluo's words, because based on Yi Qingluo's current ability and status, she pondered, it could really change the master of the infernal domain. This was what the demonic enchantress was most worried about. Otherwise, she wouldn't have specially come to look for Yi Qingluo at this timing. Demonic enchantress suppressed her anger. Her cold and elegant face was covered with frost. "I am not a person who goes back on her words. The Palace of Darkness once deceived me with a fake venerable emperor. I have no trust in the Palace of Darkness, so how can I cooperate with the Palace of Darkness again?" However, her righteous words did not cause the expression of the young girl opposite her to change in the slightest. Yi Qingluo remained calm as she smiled at the demonic enchantress. Her pink lips were still curled as she smiled indifferently. "I'm not talking about the Palace of Darkness, but Huang Wuyo." The demonic enchantress's expression instantly turned pale. Her body retreated 2 steps backwards as she looked at Yi Qingluo's gaze, which was filled with astonishment. Her heart was pounding wildly. The demonic enchantress suppressed this feeling as she tried her best to make her expression appear normal. That's natural. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5295. After the demonic enchantress finished her sentence, she was unable to look straight into Yi Qing Luo's eyes. She took a deep breath and looked away. She naturally heard the warning in Yi Qing Luo's words. She was indeed the new divine phoenix. She looked like she was recuperating in the demonic hall, and loving the people of the Feng family. It was as if she had long forgotten about the previous battles. However, he didn't miss a single thing that he should know. She had underestimated Yi Qing Luo. Initially, he thought that he would be able to deceive everyone by being discreet. Only now did he know. Yi Qing Luo had no reaction, nor did she find trouble with her. It was just that everything was in the palm of his hand, so he didn't care much about it. The hands under the enchantress's long robe were tightly clenched. He was like a prisoner on death row waiting to be sentenced. The atmosphere instantly froze. The silence was depressing. When the demonic enchantress was almost out of breath, only then did the girl's clear laughter come from the other side. The young girl's crimson-red lips curled into an arc, looking pure and harmless. Her gorgeous face was covered in a slight smile that was like a blooming flower, and it was peerlessly beautiful. I naturally believe in Lord Devilhall's words. She took a step forward and smiled brightly. So, I hope that Lord Devil will put in some effort to find Huang Wuyo's whereabouts. The demonic enchantress took a deep breath, her voice somewhat tense. This demonic enchantress will naturally speed up the search. Yes. The young girl nodded slowly. After the matter with Huang Wuyo is over, I will naturally lead the people of the God Realm to retreat from the Devil Domain. At that time, you will still be the high and mighty Lord of the Devil Palace in the Devil Domain, and the God Realm will not step into the Devil Domain again. Yi Qing Luo smiled lightly. After that, he walked past the demonic enchantress and left the palace, heading toward Feng Shi's palace. Until Yi Qing Luo left, the demon palaces were all stunned. By the time she regained her senses, she realized that the back of her clothes was already wet and stuck to her body. She had actually been intimidated by a young girl. The demonic enchantress took a few deep breaths, suppressing the fear in her heart. Everything she had done, Yi Qing Luo was actually very clear about it. He didn't point it out, but he was giving her a chance. As for her, how should he choose? This choice would affect her future. Yi Qing Luo had just walked out of the palace when she saw Yan Xiaoyi and the others standing at the entrance. The Brothers of the World group had long heard about what happened in the Devil region, and those with sufficient strength all hurried over. Seeing Yi Qing Luo coming out, Yan Xiaoyi was the first one who couldn't hold it in. Qing Luo, if you're disloyal once, you don't need to do it 100 times. He's already working with you, yet he still has other thoughts. This kind of person can't be trusted. They had just arrived at the entrance when they saw the Devil Hall. Yan Xiaoyi had originally intended to charge forward directly, but she was stopped by Qiao Jin. The group of them had heard the conversation between Yi Qing Luo and the Devil Enchantress clearly. After seeing the world group, Yi Qing Luo's expression turned gentler as the smile on her lips became more sincere and tender. Even with her current identity, how could she intimidate others? Her brothers, her companions, still treated her with the same attitude. It wasn't any different from before. She pulled Yan Xiaoyi's hand as she patted it gently. She had never been loyal to me before, so it's not considered as betrayal. She had previously worked with the Gloomy Palace, and later on turned her back to work with me. That means that this person, as long as the bargaining chip is given enough, she would be able to lean towards any side. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5296. The current Devil region isn't as peaceful as what we see on the surface. Once there's a change of master, I'm afraid there would be another huge wave. Our main motive for staying in the Devil region is to let Huang Wuyo rest in eternal sleep, to atone for what we had planned 10,000 years ago, for Mother. Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes lifted slightly as she shot towards the front without any focus. I don't want to add to the chaos and let you all fall into danger because of me. She sighed softly as she held Yan Xiaoyi's hand, and increased her strength slightly. Yan Xiaoyi could clearly feel the heat on the young lady's palm. Their hands were intertwined, conveying a sense of solemnity and cherishing. The anger on Yan Xiaoyi's face towards the devil slowly dissipated as her brows started to soften. She held Yi Qing Luo's hand as she slowed down her tone and gave a light laugh. You have always been very strong, and had always been walking in front of us. We've been protected very, very well by you. Her tone was serious and dignified. So don't feel guilty or blame yourself. Everything that we've experienced is the motivation to push us to grow. If it wasn't for your protection, we wouldn't be able to be so unrestrained, using our own method to grow. And the reason why we're able to appear in the Devil region, to be able to turn from the trash that everyone ridiculed, to become our current strong selves. All of this is all because of you. Yan Xiaoyi suddenly stretched out her hand as she circled the young lady's neck and hugged her tightly. Qing Luo, really? Thank you for appearing. Yi Qing Luo went into a slight daze as she listened to the gentle whisper by her ear. Her brows slowly turned gentle as her long and narrow eyes seemed to be dotted with dazzling stars. Her heart softened. The two of them headed towards Feng Shi's direction to take a look at Feng Shi's condition, and then went to check on Ling Long. Feng Shi's condition was still all right. Only Ling Long, perhaps it was because of her father who wasn't considered benevolent in her memory, but who was always obedient to her, suddenly turned so malevolent and even attempted to take her life. This had caused a huge trauma in the hearts of this little girl. Even when she woke up, Ling Long was still stuck in the shadow, unable to walk out. She could only use medication to calm her down and sleep again. Ghost Doctor and the rest had also rushed over along with the World Group brothers. After taking a look at Ling Long, the Ghost Doctor shook his head. A heart's ailment could only be treated with medicine from the heart. He was also powerless. Ling Long could not walk out of her nightmare. I will never be able to calm down. In this regard, Yi Qing Luo thought of many ways. In the end, it was Bai Su who brought the pale Feng Shi to see Ling Long, and Ling Long's condition improved a little. But only a little. Yi Qing Luo walked out of Ling Long's room, and the few people beside her revealed a melancholic expression as they heaved a long sigh. I plan to bring Cici and Ling Long back to the divine realm first. Bai Su leaned against the door and said to Yi Qing Luo, but her eyes were fixed on the inside of the house. Feng Shi was sitting by Ling Long's bed, gently coaxing her to sleep. As for Ling Long, Bai Su was still a little unhappy. After all, Feng Shi had been injured because of Ling Long. That was why she had exposed the mark of the Divine Emperor's successor, and attracted Huang Wuyo's attention. Yes, and most importantly, Ling Long was Huang Wuyo's daughter. Although Yi Qing Luo was also Huang Wuyo's daughter. But after all, the environment they grew up in, and the things they carried were different. But Feng Shi valued Ling Long. She valued him so much that in order to protect Ling Long, he exploded with an unbearable energy load. How could Bai Su bear to do that? And how could she bear to stop Feng Shi and Ling Long from interacting? 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash. Overlord, please be gentler with your love. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.